And we're live once again, or still, or something like that. How's everybody doing tonight? Hope you all had a good week behind us. And let's go ahead and say hello to everybody. All righty, let's see here. Who got the cookie? The colossal cookie. That's the question. It looks like Hot Dog Pilot Andy got it. Congratulations, Andy. Good to see you here and enjoy that colossal cookie. Yeah, let me bring my camera up just a little tiny bit. Let's see, who got the half cookie? Looks like Tom Grassi got it. All right, Tom, good to see you here, man. And enjoy that half cookie. And unfortunately, Gerald, you got the crumbs. Anyway, good to see you here, Gerald. Crumbs are better than nothing, I guess. See, we have Dundas Junction Model Railroad. James, how's it going? Good to see you here. Matt Osterberry. Good to see you here, Matt. I see you bumps this morning. Yeah, you did, sort of. Let's see who else we got here. We have Anfield Road Layout. Lee, how you doing? Good to see you. GRE 2060 or 57. Good to see you, GRE. And who else do we got here? Oh, looks like we got the Gigliottis. Ray, how's it going? Good to see you. And we're still going. Messy Modeler. Man, that's a great name for a handle, you know. Probably true, too, right? That could be me, actually. Messy Modeler. And Chuck Schreiber. Good to see you, Chuck. And who else do we got? Joe Rader, Black Rock Central Railroad. Hey, Joe. Good to see you here. And I believe that's everyone. Well, damn. We started out pretty good. And I hope y'all remembered to hit that damn like button because, you know, it's free. And it gives you something to take your aggressions out on. You can smash it, kick it, shoot it, knife it, whatever you want to do with it. And just have at it. Let's see. So, what did I do this week? Not a damn thing. No, that's not really true. I didn't do anything here in the train room, sort of. Although, I am running the printer. It looks like it might have finished already. Nope, still going. I made this here. This is the cell phone stand. Cell phone sits right on there like that. And it's got a hole for the cable so you can charge it while it's on the stand. I needed one because, well, I know I haven't laid down flat on the table. This way I can glance at it and see if somebody's texting me or something going on. So I made one for me and I'm making one for my wife. It's on the printer now, which I don't think you can actually see. Oh, there it is. Okay. That's the one. That's the base part of it. I got to do the face part next. Takes almost 5 hours to print each piece, but it worked out. So you know. So at least my printer's running anyway. It's been forever since I've used the printer, and it needed to be run. I actually initially tried to make one with that gold. Whatever the hell it's called, that goopy filament. I don't like that stuff, man. It didn't come out right at all. I'm not even gonna bother. I think I'm gonna wind up throwing that in the trash. Everything I try to print with it comes out like shit. So it's just not good. I don't know if maybe it's the machine I'm using. It can't handle the higher temperatures, or I don't know what's going on. I ain't using it no more. See. Lee says I smashed a like with the double-aught gauge sledgehammer. There you go. Hey, Trainman 1. Mickey, how's it going? Good to see you here. And DWM Trains, Dave. How's it going, Dave? Good to see you here, too. Did I miss anybody else? Nope, I think that's everybody so far. So that's about really the only thing I've done the last couple of days as far as the train room's concerned. Now, I went out and I bought a mini split air conditioner for the master bedroom in my house because the big air conditioner took a dive again. And I'm not fixing it this time. Every time I turn around, that thing's breaking down. I fix it. Something else goes wrong with it. I'm just tired of messing with it. So I'm going to put mini splits. I'm going to get 3 of them all together over time. Right now, I want one in the bedroom because that's the most important part. I can't sleep in the heat. And, well, it's been fairly cool out at night anyway here. It's not going to be that way forever. Eventually, it will get hot. So I've got a portable air conditioner I can roll in the bedroom. It's kind of a nuisance, so this way I'll have a 12,000 BTU right up on the wall, quiet, whisper quiet, and it'll keep the room however cold I want it to be. It'll be nice, especially in those hot summer nights. And next I'll get one for the living room, which will cover the same 12,000 BTU will cover the living room, the dining room, and probably the kitchen. I mean, it's a big unit. It can do a lot of cooling. You know, basically it's a 1-ton unit. Like you said, they're whisper quiet. And the beauty of it is, you don't have to run them all simultaneously. You just turn the ones on in the room you're in. So the one in the bedroom, for example, probably wouldn't use that except at night. You know, unless they were doing something else with the bedroom. But I mean, realistically, that'd be the only time you'd run in the bedroom is at night when you're sleeping. The one in the living room, of course, during the day, because you're going to be in the living room, kitchen, dining room. And then I'm going to put a third one, a smaller one, in the Deb's hobby room, the back bedroom. And that'll take care of the bedroom and the bathroom at the same time, because there's a full bath back there as well. And I think I can get by with a 5,000 BTU on that one. And not only that, but that one I could do a 220 volt because I'm going to take out the big air conditioner and throw it right out to the curb because it's fucking useless. You know, the thing is, what they say it was 10 years old? Yeah. 10 years old and it's already shot. Well, the condenser part outside is 10 years old. The air handler, I believe, is the original one of the house. House was built in 94. They're not matched units. So right now I'm thinking most of my problem is on the inside unit. It's not allowing the compressor to kick on outside, which means probably the PC board PC board is bad, and I'm not wasting money replacing it. So out the door it goes. The mini splits are cheaper. They do a much better job. They're quiet, actually quieter than central air, believe it or not, and it'll save me a ton of money at the same time. Hey, Ray Bertelson, how you doing? Curly Express, Dwight, how's it going? Good to see you here. Tom's Trains and Things, lurking while working. There you go, it rhymed. Good to see you here, Tom. And let's see who else we got here. Truck driver already said hi. Alright, I guess we're all caught up. Oh, there we go. Deep Run Railroad, Mike, how's it going, Mike? Good to see you. So, that's the plan. That's what I've been doing. So I'm doing the installation well, not as we speak, but I've been doing the installation. I got it 2 days ago. Yeah, I ordered it from Amazon. It was a hell of a deal, really. It was only $600, and that's with the outdoor condenser hanging set, because I don't like them sitting on the ground. I hang them off the wall, the condenser part, and the covers for the line set and the electrical. Pretty much everything I need except for a disconnect. I still got to pick up one, but I'll get that locally. So it's going to be a piece of cake. Now I did take down an old-fashioned light fixture in the bedroom. I didn't take pictures of it. Well, I probably did somewhere, but I ain't gonna look for them. Got rid of that ugly fucking thing. And the AC unit, the indoor unit, the head unit, that's where it's going in place of that. Then later on I might put up two fixtures, separate ones, that are more modern. You don't really need them because I put new ones on the opposite wall. The only thing I got to do is switch the wiring so that the switch that's near the door when you go in the room will take care of those lights and not the ugly ones. Not a big deal. I'll be able to swap that out pretty easily. So that's basically what I've been doing mostly. So I've got the back plate hung up there. I've got one hole drilled in on the inner wall anyway. The head unit's all ready to go. I've got the line set on. The drain hose in, the wiring, all that. So all I got to do is I'll have help tomorrow. My neighbor's going to come help me hang it. And once that's done, the rest I can do myself, and that'll be mostly outdoors. Run the line set down and tie it into the condensing unit after I figure out where I'm going to hang it. Put the disconnect on. I'll have to run to the store and get one. And whatever wiring I'm going to do. So it's a 110 volt model, so it'll be no problem wiring it. Like I said, this will be the third one I've installed already. I put the one in the shed, and I put one in the guest house that my mother-in-law will be living in again. So we're doing pretty good. And James says it's snowing there. I know, I can't believe, it's snowing here in the States too. I think Minnesota and possibly Michigan got some. And I think the East Coast is going to get some next day or two. New York, Maine, that whole area, New England states. Well, you can't tell me this weather ain't being manipulated. This shit is so weird. Storm after storm after storm, tornadoes all over the place. Supposedly we got a few volcanoes that are getting ready to blow their tops. Some crazy shit going on. Yeah, Mike says, mowed my grass in a parka today. That's fun. But I believe it. At night, it gets down in the 50s here. And even today, I think it only get up to maybe, well, it's showing 81 right now, but it don't feel like it. It feels more like it's about 74, 75. And I think zero humidity, or just about. Ray says, got my DCC, I'm not sure what that word is, alignment pins for my lift up, and can't find my chuck key for the drill press. Oh, okay, hate when that happens. Of course, you can always use a couple of pairs of channel locks. That'll work too. I've done that in the past where I lost the key. I mean, everything now is pretty much keyless chuck, but I have a mini tabletop drill press. It has a key on it. Thank God it's got a place to put the key, because I'd lose that in a heartbeat probably. Tom says, yeah, I know it happens, but it's unusual. And they're talking that this may go into May, this bad weather. I still think they're fooling with it. I could be wrong. Just goes to show that global warming is a fucking crock of shit, isn't it? Yeah, global warming my ass. Not yet, Dwight. The end of the month, she'll be back here on the 30th. I got to go to the airport and pick her and her mother up and bring them back. She got to move all her stuff back down. They paid a mover, but they couldn't get there until I think the 28th or 27th. And she wants to make sure that they don't screw it all up, so otherwise she would have been back a little sooner, but that's all right though. Andy says warm here during the day. Who knew? The weather pattern's all messed up. James says I'm hiding out looking for spring. There you go. Gerald said, Mike, I sweat my ass off mowing my yard yesterday. Yeah, well, I know in Texas it's hot at the moment. Joe says it's supposed to rain next 2 days here. You're up in Oregon, I think. They're getting hammered pretty bad with everything too. Oh, Concepts, okay. Ray says I'll get another one tomorrow. There you go. There you go. Paint it yellow when you find your chuck key. Or red. Either way, it'll be easier to find. Races already had the drill change. Yeah, there you go. Damn. Joe says, so congrats to who? Yeah, that'll work too. I've seen that done, Gerald. A Phillips and a flat blade screwdriver make a good shape. You put the Phillips in the hole of the chuck and use the blade as against it as an anchor, and you can tighten it up that way. I've seen that done. Oh, you're in Maryland? Okay. Yeah, well, the East Coast is getting hammered too, so it's just crazy. The whole weather patterns are crazy. Yeah, actually, I lost 12 pounds, believe it or not. I don't know why. I'm eating well. I mean, I've changed my eating habits a little bit. I'm not eating as much. I think it's more portion control than anything else. So, you know. Chuck says it's 89 here. Okay. Well, he said it's 81 here. Yeah, even my thermometer says 81 in the shed. So, I got the air conditioner on, you know. But somebody's burning something. A lot of smoke outside. And I was finding it a little difficult to breathe in here, so I opened the door. And weird as it is, it actually helped. I don't know what's going on. It might be time to clean the filters in the AC unit. I don't know. It's like a musky smell like thing, sort of. But yeah, that's a good idea too, Tom. Drill a hole through the chuck key, then put a wire through the hole and loop it so you can hang it. Hey, Train Freak, Jason. How's it going, Jason? Good to see you, man. Been a long time. Gerald says 87 here. Dave says, oh, Dave, BNSFF, how you doing? He says 44 here. Yeah, that's a little cool. It might be in my trailer that I haven't unpacked since my move 4 years ago. There you go. See, I usually keep all that stuff in my toolbox, but my tabletop drill press has a holder for it. And so I keep it with that, you know. Same thing, I've got a mini circular saw. Got a little 4-inch blade on it. And the key, it has a key on it too to undo the blade. And there's a pocket for it right on the saw. So I keep all that together. Because otherwise I would surely lose the shit. Tom says it's 47 now in New Jersey. Yeah, it's still kind of cool. No snow though. Huh? You'll get some more, I think. That's what they were saying anyway. I don't think you can get a lot though. Ray says I dug out the drill press and couldn't find the key. Yeah, that's the way it always works. There you go. That's a good idea. Put a magnet on the side of your drill press to hold the key. Well, I'm sure there's about a dozen different ways to hang on to it. Dave says a lot of robins in the yard the last couple of weeks. You know, that's weird because it's like fall in my place. I got a lot of trees in my yard, and I've got leaves everywhere. Matter of fact, it's going to be a motherfucker when it comes time to clean them up. A lot of them are in the driveway in areas where normally wouldn't pick them up with the mower and shred them. I swear the trees are going bare, and we're in sort of the spring here, right? Or almost summertime. This is so weird. Even the trees don't know what the hell to do. I mean, the leaves are falling off. I'm looking out the door now, watching the leaves fall off. It's weird. Well, yeah, you can always change the chuck and put a keyless chuck on, I guess. They make them. They're not real expensive, but, you know. Any sign of bad. That's bad. Weird. So, so anyway, that's what I've been up to. I'm taking my time. I mean, if a guy knew what he was doing and was in good shape, he could probably install one of those things in about 4 hours, you know, and have it up and running. Because the only thing I have to do to it is vacuum it down once I get the line set hooked up to both units. Vacuum it down for a half an hour and then make sure there's no leaks, of course. and then crack open the valves in the condenser to fill the freon in there, and it's ready to rock and roll. That's really the only thing that I have to. But I have a vacuum pump. I bought one years ago because use them on cars and you use them on everything. So, uh, so that's about the only thing that and you don't have to do it, but it's a good idea too. It makes the unit work more efficiently if you suck any moisture or humidity out of the lines. Let's see. White oak shed their leaves in the spring. Red oak shed their. All right. Well, these are they're Florida oaks. I'm not sure if it's white or red. Probably white. But they are Florida oaks, and it's like I said, they're weird. But it seems like here it's been year round. They've been shedding leaves. I mean, I haven't really had a time where there hasn't been. I mean, here, let me take the camera. I'll give you a look here. Take a look at it. Are there all leaves on the ground? They're fucking everywhere. You see them in the driveway. You can't even see the driveway anymore. I mean, it literally buried the whole driveway. And it's crazy, I mean, I like the trees. They provide shade and actually make it a little warmer or cooler out here, on a hot day. But, man, the mess is a pain in the ass. If I had the extra money, I'd get a lawn vacuum attachment for my riding mower. And just suck them right up and then dispose of them later. And that's almost what you need. We got one of those machines. It's small. It's handheld. You can vacuum them up and it grinds them. And you just take them out back and empty the bag. But there's so many. I mean, it would take you probably a month to get rid of all the leaves in my yard. I mean, there's that many. So. Tom says, my neighbor was out in the backyard with her dog today and she saw a coyote go through her yard. Told me to keep eye open for it. You got coyotes up there, man? Wow. Yeah, I'd be careful. They'll eat dogs. I don't know if they'll eat them, but they'll kill them. Ray says, I don't want a keyless chuck on my drill press. It gets used for both metal and wood. Yeah, that's true. That's probably why they don't generally put them on a press. Handheld, yeah, but all my handheld drills, they're keyless chuck. And they work good. I mean, they've gotten better. I remember the first one I got was, I can't remember the brand. That was a top brand, the bluish green, expensive cordless drills. And I had a lot of problems with the keyless chuck on that. I wound up replacing it because it failed on me when I needed it most, I tell you, when one of those things quit, you're going out kill for a chuck right now. So, but like you said, they've gotten better with them over the years. Oh, Makita, that's the word. I had bought a Makita. As a matter of fact, I had a problem with the clutch too. So I bought a second Makita. And the second one I got was a hammer drill as well, which was much better. But still had the problem with the keyless chuck down the road. And I wound up replacing both chucks on both drills. Till the batteries took a shit, then I just got rid of the drills because fucking batteries cost more than the drill does. Eddie said, that the coyotes have trade tariffs? I'm not so sure about that. Ray says, are Florida oaks orange, asking for a friend? I have no idea. Is that a reference to Trump or what? I don't know. I didn't even know they had oaks in Florida. I mean, I came up here. Like I said, that's what's in the yard. We found, because I wasn't sure what the hell they were. I mean, down south, we got pine trees. We have cypress trees. And there's paper trees. Those are about the three main trees down in Naples. You get up here, the only thing you see are these Florida oaks. And they're good firewood, though. I mean, they burn well after you let them cure out. We cut down one of them, and I got a pile of, I don't know if you can see these or not. This is one of 4 piles. There you go. Of firewood that I've got. And the ones under that tarp have been curing for about, I think, almost a year now. So those are the ones I started using to burn with. And they burn really well in a long time in the fireplace. And I've got 3 more stacks. I've got 2 stacks in the backyard, and I have 1 stack by the driveway that Curtis brought over. He cut down some trees in his yard. They're a little smaller. Like, well, actually, there's some that are like this, but most of it's more like kindling. But they burn well too, and I think they're the same thing, Florida oak. So, good firewood. Let's see. Jason says red oaks have pointed leaves, white oaks have rounded leaves. Okay, these are rounded leaves, I guess. They're all over the place. We taught our scouts that the red man made pointed weapons, spear. White man made rounded bullets. Okay. That's weird, but that makes sense. Dave says, I just mow the leaves into the grass except in the woods. There you go. That's what I do too. I mean, I've got mulching blades on my mower. It just grinds everything up, so. Oh yeah, they'll definitely eat chickens, the coyotes will. Of course, everything here eats chickens. You know. We got possums, raccoon, a bear. Well, I think somebody got the bear, but we haven't seen them in the last 2 years, so I think somebody took them out and buried them. And it wasn't me. Although, if I had a backhoe, I would have done it. Let's see. Gerald says, here we have live oaks. The new leaves push off the old ones in early spring. Okay. Like I said, I don't know much about trees except that they're either good or they're dead, So these are, as far as I know, they're all in good shape. And every time a hurricane comes through, it clears them out. Like removes the dead brush. It's a big mess on the ground, but it saves me $1,000 having trimmed, So it's kind of a good thing in a way. And Dave says, we have both kinds of oaks on the property, Jason. They hold on to a lot of leaves until new buds. And maybe these are doing the same thing. I don't know. Like I said, they're getting kind of bare, though. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they're confused or what, or hard telling. Ray says, I will raise you 1 rabbit, Andy. Okay. Even the wildlife is sweating hard times. Yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it? Oh, tier 2 squirrels. You guys playing animal poker? Joe says, I have 2 80-year-old maple trees I have to put up with a gazillion helicopters this month. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember those up north in Jersey. That's what we used to call them, helicopters that can fly down there. Those are cool. Jason said, dinner time. Have a great evening. All right, Jason. Have a good dinner, man. Enjoy it, and we'll talk to you later. Three eagles, couple of rabbits, a few squirrels, and a boatload of chipmunks. All right, well, I guess you can enter them all in the poker game that they're playing. Sell that firewood for between $4 to $5 a bundle for people to burn in their fireplaces. My grandpa and I used to do that, made money at it while I was little. Well, I have a fireplace, so kind of saving it for my own. If I didn't have one, yeah, that's exactly what I'd be doing. But in the winter, I use my fireplace quite often. It gets a little cold in the evenings here. And, instead of running the electric heat, you hit to fire up the fireplace. It looks cool. And it actually does warm up the house. So, I always wanted a fireplace. First house I've ever owned that had one. And when I was a kid, my dad's house up north, he had a fireplace, but I don't remember him ever putting a fire in there. The whole time we were there, and I was there for 10 years. I never remember ever seeing him light the fireplace. And I mean, it gets cold up there, so I don't know, And he started out, he had a coal furnace in the basement, and then he finally switched it up to an oil furnace. That was later on. I think I was about 8 or 9 years old. I remember them ripping the old system out and putting in the new oil burner. But I remember the coal truck used to back up to the house. They'd open up the chute and drop the coal down in there, and it was ready to rock and roll. It's kind of cool, really. Possums eat rodents and mice. Yeah, I know, but they also eat chickens, and that was the problem. Plus, they were getting in and everything, so I had to kill them. I tried letting one. I didn't want to kill them, so I caged one. Took it down the road about 5 miles. You know, some bitch came back. So he wound up getting a bullet anyway. I haven't shot the raccoon yet because they do the same thing. But he's huge. He's so big that I've got 4 cats that live outside the house. They're outdoor cats. They won't go near the damn thing. You know, like they'll just kind of look at it and just keep their distance. Because this thing would probably rip them a new one, if not outright kill them. But he hasn't been a problem yet. So if he takes care of the vermin on the property, that's fine. As long as he stays out of my trash and doesn't do any actual damage to the house or anything, I'll let him live. Otherwise, he's getting a bullet too. Really? Yeah, I saw some in Winn-Dixie the other day. It was like, yeah, it was $8, and I think it was only like 4 pieces of wood. They were small, about maybe a foot long and maybe about 5 inches in diameter. 4 or 5 pieces for $8. I thought, damn, that's a lot of money for firewood. I got enough here I can make one. Shit. Probably about $1,000, I mean, I got a lot of firewood here. But this stuff here that I just showed you is the only one that's actually cured. So I bought one of those moisture meters so I can tell when it's ready. But the stuff out back is still got a higher moisture content in it, so it's going to wait a while. And then the load that Curtis bought me, that's still a little moist too. Not ready to burn yet. So, but at least I got plenty here. That there, what's in the back here, would probably last me, shit, probably 5 years or more, because they don't really use a lot of it, and it does burn well. Yeah, they do, Mike. At least up here in Central and North Florida, because it gets cold up here, It got down into the low or high 30s this past winter, just at night, but still, that's cold. And during the day, I mean, I've seen it as low as 50 degrees. I know, I think that was 47 one day. So yeah, it gets cold. Dave says possums. Yeah, that's what I hear, but like I said, I don't mind them until they become a nuisance. If they become a nuisance, then I gotta get rid of them. Apple and plum trees bit to dust. Still have a lilac tree, laurel and magnolia trees. Okay. The government gave me the royal flush and lost all. Yeah, I hear that. I'll see your rabbit and squirrels and raise you a skunk. Thank God we haven't had any of those here yet. That would be bad. Hey, Debbie, how you doing? Good to see you here. That's Tom's Debbie, I believe. No, that's my Debbie, right? Yeah. Yeah, too many Debbies. Ah. No, I don't want my ex back. Andy, you win. Ah, you guys are bad. Can't beat a royal, Ray. Okay. Yeah, so, like I said, I don't do a whole lot in here lately. I really want to do some stuff, but I just don't have the money I could spare right now. And, I got so many things ahead of me that I have to take care of that are more important. So once I get caught up with all that, then I'll start putting a little bit of money in here again. And I like to get, I've talked about this I don't know how many times. Get that second level outfitted up there and get some trains running up there and, get that out of the way. And I wanted to build a shelf, a display case up here on this wall behind the camera to mount my model cars on and some of my wooden stuff that I ran out of room for. I was going to do that this month and I got sidetracked and had to divert the money. So maybe next month. We'll see. It's not that expensive to make one. I'm just going to use 1x6, planks. And I think they're like $3 for an 8-footer. And I think I needed 4 8-footers. So, and I've got everything else I need to put it together. Let's see. Mike says, I had a couple of raccoons making out in the back of my boat, caught them on a security camera, yelling over the speaker and flashing the lights didn't bother them at all. Oh man, they were busy. You do the same thing, right? Continue on till you're finished. You can pick your friends and you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your friend's nose. Well, it's not a good idea anyway. It would be kind of weird. Doggone raccoons, what next? They're everywhere, man. Just can't get away from that shit. It is what it is. So, like you said, at least I'm running one of the printers anyway. I tried to print. I threw it out because it came out badly. There it is. I printed this in the resin printer. And there was parts missing out of it. The bottom was stuck to the plate. I couldn't get it off. Wound up breaking it. And it turned out like shit. This is a different design. I actually liked the design, but it didn't come out well. I even tried using a different color resin. Yeah, I made a white one. And the white one came out worse. So I don't know. I got to double check the printer and make sure there isn't a problem with the LED in there. Because it almost like, remember I showed you this car body. I'm thinking the same thing. Now this was sitting at an angle like that. And you got a hole right there and a hole right there. They're almost lined up. Well, not really, but close. I wonder if there's a fault in the LED where it didn't shine the light on this properly. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It shouldn't have done that. So, and then like I said, then you had the phone holder. Kind of did something similar, so I have to double check that and see what's going on there. That's going to suck if I have to replace the LED in there, because it won't be cheap. I mean, I have the other one, so it's not a big deal, which I don't use that much. That's that open box one I bought. No, this is actually just a Le Mans 1973. Well, I bastardize it. It's got a 77 nose on it, but the back end is 73 because this is based on a real car that I owned, and it's set up for tandem axle. Matter of fact, where is it? Right there. Oh, well, you can see that. There you go. I'm still working on it. I'm not done with it yet. But yes, I did own a car like that. I built it. And that's what I did. I put a 77 nose on it because I wanted the rectangular lights. The 73 had 2 round lights on it. I didn't really like them. I thought the 77 would be cool. And I lost the grill and added 2 more lights on there, so I had 6 headlights, 4 high beams and 2 low beams. And yes, at the time it was legal because you were allowed to have auxiliary headlights, and that's what they counted as, even though they were kind of permanently in the car. Because I had a cop try to write me a ticket for him, saying, "Oh, you can't have 6 headlights." Yeah, well, write me a ticket. I'll see you in court. Well, he did, and I went into court and I won. And there's no law against it, you know. So as long as they're not blue or yellow, they didn't really give a shit. You know, if they were blue or yellow, and then you're in big trouble for, impersonating a emergency vehicle. Let's see. Was that a 500 cubic inch Swiss cheese model? Nope, nope, no. I had 350 in it, but it was built 350. I was pushing about 430, 440 horse based on my estimations. It was a runner for what it was. That was Pontiac motor too. Big block. I don't do well with Chevy motors. The only Chevy motor that I ever had good luck with was a 283. I blew up everything else, so I didn't have any of the big motors. I might have better luck with them, 454 or what was that other one they had? The 409, But I never had the opportunity to get my hands on one because I would have tried it, when I had my Chevy. But since I had Pontiac, I wanted a Pontiac motor. Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, they had a GTO option in 75 and 76, right? Or no, 76 and 77 maybe. And yeah, it had the rectangular lights on it. Also had a different hood too. Had two inset scoops instead of out. They were in. Because I had to use the hood is out of the 73 on that because technically that would have been a GTO. Well, they had a 77 model, but the taillights are different on the 77. So I wanted to stick with the 73 rear end, and I basically mated the front end to the rest of the body. But they did have the front end is actually off the GTO 77 GTO, so they said different hood, different nose. So, hey, Todd Armstrong, how you doing? Good to see you here, man. Is there a rant hiding? I'm sure there is. I just haven't thought about it yet. I do have a couple of videos you might find interesting. I'll be putting them on in a little while. Rant. Yeah, you know what? There's so much to rant about these days. It's like the whole world has just gone completely stupid. And it's like, it's going to turn out to where everything's going to be a rant, and the thing will be to say, I'm not a rant. I got a not a rant today. You want to hear it? Because everything else is a fucking rant. It's ridiculous. And I'll think about it. If I come up with something, we'll talk. Alright, well, let me run one of these, I got two videos. This one I thought was kind of cool. I found this one myself. It's about the doodle bug. And the doodle bugs are neat. Like I said, I had a 66 and a 69 Pala SS with 327 that burned oil, and the 427 dropped the oil pickup. That was supposed to be a good motor too, that 427. 327s I thought were garbage. I had all three versions of them in my Malibu, a 65 Malibu SS. I hatched every one of them. So I built another 283, which the car originally had in it. I bought a 283 out of a 1962 Chevy wagon. Gutted it. I saved the Fuey heads off the 375 horse 327 because they interchange. So I, forged pistons and chromoly rings and cammed it. Had the crank balanced, that thing was pushing close to 500 horse, I think. It was a running motherfucker and you couldn't blow it up. But that was, like I said, a 283. But that was the only engine I ever had luck with Chevy. 350s, 327s, 307, hatched them all. Yeah. I had a 65 and a 67 Impala. The 65 was a convertible. I loved that car. Until somebody sugared my gas tank. Destroyed the motor in it. But I initially bought the 67. It was a 4-door. A rolling piece of shit on wheels, but 6-cylinder and a 3-speed on the column. I moved it to the floor. And somebody built the motor in that because I found out, I traced the lineage and it was actually on the stock car track. So the motor was blueprinted, you know. As I burnt the clutch out of it about the first week I had it. And not because I didn't know how to use it, because I found out you can't do 100 mile an hour and then push the clutch in and put it in neutral. Or no, I didn't put it, I just pushed the clutch in and coasted for about a half a mile and it actually fried the clutch. So I made it home barely. I went to the parts store, you know, across the, practically a street over. Bought a new clutch for it. Clutch disc, you know, it was like $12. Again, I jack it up. I drop the transmission, the bell housing. I'm going, what the fuck is that? Had a Hayes double clutch system, double disc clutch in it. I mean, it wasn't stock, so I'm thinking, well, this is weird. I thought it was kind of unusually quick for, you know, a 6-cylinder with a 3-speed. Well, it turns out, like I said, I dropped the oil pan on. I had forged pistons and forged rods. If it had a cam, it was a very mild one. It was still running. It was running a 2-barrel carburetor on it, which normally they ran a single barrel, but this one had a 2-barrel. And stock exhaust manifolds that didn't have headers or anything. But it just, whatever they did to it, it ran, and it ran well. But yeah, I returned the clutch disc I bought, the $12 one, and I bought a double disc for the Hayes. That was, I think at the time, remember this is in the late 70s. I think I paid like $80 for the 2 discs. That fucking things were expensive, you know. But it was either that or, you know, I would have had to replace the pressure plate and all that. I said, no, I'll just get the new disc and be done with it. So, and like I said, it grabbed good, you know. But who would do that? That's what I'm saying. Once I investigated, I bought the car for $65 off an old mechanic, you know. And he said it was a piece of shit. I mean, it ran good and all, but fucking there were dents in it, and, you know, the paint was shot. You know, it's just a piece of shit car, you know, $65, what do you want? And I said, I had a friend that had the 65 convertible. I bought it, pulled the engine transmission out of the 67, threw it in the 65, and I drove that for like another 3 years until I know the guy did, and I got even with him, but he sugared my gas tank because I was running open exhaust. You know, it was kind of loud. But it was cool at night. You'd watch the flames because I had them outside. Watch the flames come out of it, you know. They call it pantyhose burner. But, yeah. The good old days, man. Yes, now we don't want to have a rant today. Alright, well, whatever. Alright, so here, let me play this video. I think it's 10 minutes long. It's actually kind of interesting. And I know y'all know what a doodlebug is, at least you should. Even I know what that is, but it goes into how they were developed and how they used them throughout the years and why they initially canned them and all that. It's pretty interesting. So here we go.
Doodlebug. What a funny name. Most people would probably think it's a type of insect. Some might even say it's a nickname for somebody. But with how silly it sounds, most would not expect that this was the name of a train. Wait, I'm sorry? Doodlebugs are trains? Yes, you heard me right. Now settle down, sit back, and relax as I tell you the story of the Doodlebug railcars. So it's the early 1900s. Most American railroads had steam locomotives for all types of trains. However, they were used in literally every situation. Switching, hauling fast freight and passenger trains, and powering the rural branch line trains. Steam engines on branch lines were a real issue because they were big machines carrying tiny loads. For example, the typical branch line train in the mid-1900s, say 1905 for example, was a small steam locomotive with at least one coach or small amount of freight cars. It's the year of 1904 and General Electric was busy mass-producing their pancake fans. They saw the issue of steam locomotives powering small rural branch lines. It was then that the company's engineers realized that there may be a market for self-propelled railcars in the railroading industry. By this time, self-propelled railcars had been attempted once or twice, with the steam railcars being popular in New England during the late 1880s. However, those were phased out by the late 1890s with the rise of electric traction. The development of gas engines led to railroads seeking them as higher efficiency alternatives to steam power for low-volume branch lines at the start of the 20th century. America's first attempt at this was the problematic McKean motor cars, produced between 1905 and 1917. The 200 horsepower gas engine on the 55 or 60 foot long units drove only one set of wheels, and the lack of power and traction, the unreliability of the transmissions, and an inability to reverse were major players to the reason they got phased out so quickly. GE built its first gas-electric railcar prototype in 1906 and they called it the Doodlebug. No one really knows for sure why it's called that, but it's probably because of the way the car meandered or doodled through the small towns across the countryside. The Doodlebugs were quite different from similar cars used by the interurban and streetcar industry, which were powered by standard electricity. They rebuilt this prototype off of a wooden passenger car from the Delaware and Hudson Railway, and placed it on trial runs over its system. It did incredibly well, and over time it gained some traction with other railroads. The St. Louis-San Francisco Railway, or Frisco, was eager to try this new technology out, placing an initial order for 10 gas-electric units in 1910 and 7 additional by 1913, giving it the distinction of having the largest fleet of gas-electric motorcars in the country at the time. The first units had a prime mover made out of a simple gas engine from a car, built by the British Wolseley Motor Company. GE decided to use this specific engine for 2 reasons. First, it contained adequate power for the experiment, but at the same time did not need such high horsepower as a standard locomotive, given that it was only being used for light passenger and freight duty. The car became known as GE No. 1, or D&H No. 1000. And it was tested between Saratoga and Schenectady, New York, where it reached speeds upwards of 40 miles per hour. A year after this car was tested, engineers further improved on the first test car and built GE No. 2, which used a V8 engine that was much lighter than the Wolseley design. GE No. 2 also was the first to actually debut to the public, as it tested on a number of railroads, including the Minneapolis, Northfield and Southern Railway, Chicago Great Western, Lehigh Valley, and the Delaware and Hudson. Around 1908, the company debuted GE No. 3, a third demonstrator that was more powerful and a bit lighter than the previous cars. It also saw more publicity than its 2 predecessors. In the end, when General Electric concluded its railcar business to focus on the mainline electrification projects, it sold more than 100 units, many of which were custom tailored to the railroad specifications. Fast forward to the roaring 1920s. More companies saw the early success of these railcars and started making their own, starting with the Electromotive Company, or EMC. They began supplying car bodies to the St. Louis Car Company and prime movers to the Winton Engine Company and electrical equipment to General Electric. The Pullman Company was subsequently added as a subcontractor for the car bodies. The designs featured the same setup as GE, a baggage combination with a sliding door for freight and mail and a rear area for standard coach seating. EMC's first Doodlebugs were more powerful than GE's last designs and were rated at around 275 horsepower while using GE traction motors and generators. An early proponent of these motorized railcars was the Chicago, Rock Island, and Pacific, or just the Rock Island, and it soon began experimenting with its models. In 1927, the Rock was looking for an increase in power with their Doodlebugs, so they took traction motors and the power plant from one car and placed it with another. This setup featured traction motors on all axles with 2 engines, boosting its output to 550 horsepower. EMC liked this idea so much that they built 7 units with 800 horsepower just for the Rock Island. using them all for many years. While early doodlebugs appeared similar to a heavyweight passenger car, newer models in the late 20s and early 30s had more of a boxy appearance and a flat cab face with the headlight attached to the hood, and in many cases, extra freight and mail doors. Improvements to the rail cars were sought by the Pullman Company, who experimented with lightweight designs in partnership with Ford Motor Company in 1925. They then enlisted the services of pioneering all-metal aircraft designer William Bushnell Stout in 1931 to adapt airplane fuselage design concepts to railcars. The Budd Company entered into a partnership with the French Michelin Tire Company to produce lightweight stainless steel Budd Michelin cars in the US. Those advances in the lightweight railcar design were important steps in development of the lightweight diesel-electric streamliners in the 1930s. However, these railcars were very problematic due to them running on rubber tires. When the Great Depression came around in 1929, development and production of the doodlebugs dropped significantly, along with the money of many major railroads. But one railroad found a particularly unique way to solve this. When the Rio Grande Southern Railway in Chicago was chronically poor, they built a fleet of motorcars called Galloping Geese, which were built off of salvaged car parts and car bodies. Most of the geese were built off of Pierce Arrow and Buick cars of the earlier 1920s. These Galloping Goose railcars gained a ton of popularity and was an excellent alternative use of fuel to a steam locomotive. It basically had the same function of a doodlebug, with passengers using the passenger compartment near the front, while mail and express freight was in the compartment behind. The RGS did not use the Galloping Goose name until very late in its history, instead referring to the vehicles as motors or buses. According to local folklore, the name was coined as a reference to their rocking gait or the goose-like tone of their horns. But rail historian Mallory Hope Farrell notes that the term Galloping Goose has previously been used to refer to doodlebugs operating on other railroads, notably the Northern Pacific Railway in the 1920s. Thankfully, you can see or even ride these charming motor cars for yourself, as most have been preserved given the railroad was quite famous for its geese fleet. Even though the Great Depression ended in 1941, production didn't continue until 1949, when the Budd introduced its RDC, or Rail Diesel Car, which went on to be incredibly successful. Many Class 1 railways like the B&O, Milwaukee Road, Pennsylvania, Western Maryland, Santa Fe, CB&Q, and others all use the doodlebugs, along with numerous smaller roads finding use for it. There have been many experimental designs with doodlebugs, including Pennsylvania Railroad's 4663, one of the 3 doodlebugs to ever be streamlined, with the other 2, number 2027 and 2028, both belonging to the Seaboard Airline Railroad. 2028 is the only survivor of the streamlined doodlebug trio, and has been renumbered to 4900 when the Seaboard Airline and the Atlantic Coastline Railroad merged to form the Seaboard Coastline. Unfortunately, the Transportation Act of 1958 doomed doodlebugs as it decreased the power states had to regulate railroads in providing passenger services over lightly used branch and secondary lines. As a result, these routes either ended passenger operations altogether or were outright abandoned, thus dispelling the need for the doodlebug. While most were gone by 1960, interestingly, Sperry Rail Service found a second life for some cars, which were retrofitted and operated into the 2000s as maintenance-of-way vehicles, checking for internal rail defects. Some Sperry cars can still be seen today inspecting the tracks on the railroads it runs on. A lot of doodlebugs are currently preserved, with some in operational condition on tourist railroads, 2 of which are ex-Pennsylvania Railroad and are seen on the Wilmington and Western and Allentown and Auburn Scenic Railways respectively. One has also been rebuilt and fitted to run on the narrow-gauge East Broad Top Railway, numbered M1. The doodlebugs were an incredible start to self-propelled rail technology. Because of the doodlebugs, we got the Budd RDC, the ACF motor railer, and other unique motor cars used on various railways. Thankfully, some are still in operational use across the US, and a lot are preserved, while the ones that didn't survive were either scrapped, abandoned, or sold to other railroads who have also likely scrapped them. Nonetheless, doodlebugs were an amazing example of railroad history across the United States. Thanks for watching this video about the doodlebugs. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do whatever. As always, and join my new Discord server in the pinned comment. Thanks again for watching and have a great day.
Damn it. Thanks, Derek. Hey, Derek, how's it going? Yeah, I got sound now, right? Yeah, I fucked that one up, didn't I? I think I'm getting as bad as Tom from Tom's Trains and Things. Sorry, Tom, but you know, yeah, you do this all the time. Forget to turn the sound on, whatever. I'm getting just as bad. All right, 4x4, cool. Do you understand the word coming out of my mouth? Oh, yeah, right. Anyway, like I said, most of us know what the doodlebug is, but I didn't know much about them. So when I saw that, I was actually playing back a video that Thomas Moore sent me, which that's going to be the second video. It's a little shorter. It's kind of cool too, but it was, it was on the side panel. I said, oh, that's cool, doodlebug. Let me check that one out. So I did. So I like that. I'm going to put it up tonight. So what else is going on? Well, we could go right to the video. So I think of something else to talk about. All right, here, let's do that. This is in New York, I guess, back in the 40s or whatever. I don't know, but check it out. You'll like it. Like slow acting there, huh? Oh, that was interesting. Hey, Sparky, how's it going? What am I looking for on Facebook? I saw one there, but can't access it till the guy gets. He has to be back online. I don't know if it's got anything to do with it or not. The mic's on. I believe, yeah, I'm showing it's on. The messenger chat. All right, I'll have to check it out later. Um, Sparky says you might even get a day in the train shed this weekend. Why, you been that busy? You can't get anything done in the line? I know how that works. Well, anyway, so that's the videos. That was from Thomas More. Or just check your PayPal. Why, did somebody give me money? That would be nice. Now you got me curious. And I got nothing to take up your time while I go check, so I'll wait till later. Thanks, Sparky. Um, what the hell am I talking about? I don't even know. I completely lost my stuff here. The train fell off the track, damn it. He did a withdrawal from my account. Well, you won't get much. My PayPal account had $1 in it. You know. Hey, Floyd Robbins, how's it going, Floyd? Good to see you. So, you know, that dollar help him, well, he can have it. Shit, now you really got me going here. Let me check this real quick. Let's see what I got here. PayPal. You never know. It might be something worthwhile or not. Who knows? Oops. It's always something. Oh shit, what the hell's my password? I think that's my password. Yep, that was it. Yay. For some reason this computer doesn't. Oh no, it didn't. That wasn't my password either. Oh shit. What the hell is it? I have no idea. Let me in without even. See, on my other computer, the password is locked in there. Don't worry. I'm not gonna fool with it right now. I have to go to the other computer now to get in there. I don't remember what the hell my password is. I got so many of them. I try to keep them all the same, but then some of these things, you know, for whatever reason, it'll make you change your password, and you can't use the same one again. And like, I think it was, maybe it's PayPal. It will remember like your last 20 passwords. You can't use any of them again. So you're going to come up with a completely new one, you know. It's fucking stupid. Who the hell even cares, you know? That's the way it goes, I guess. So who knows? Maybe somebody gave you $1 million, right? I can certainly use it. I'll take whatever I can get. Probably somebody want money, actually. You ever get those? I get it in my email all the time. Such and such is requesting $8,000 from you, you know. And I click on this link to approve it, and I'm going, yeah, right, you know. Like I had $8,000, and I'd let you have it anyway, even if I had it. I don't think so. Delete, you know. That's such a. And the scams are ridiculous out there. Derek says, I wish I could remember my last 20 passwords. Yeah, me too. That's what I'm saying. I set up one, and I can't say what it is because I'm still using it, but it's simple for me to remember. And I tried to use that one on all my accounts. Well, some of the accounts won't let me do it. You know. And that's lately on, you got to use letters, at least one number, at least one cap, and a special symbol, like a question mark or exclamation. What the fuck is that shit? You know, because I don't normally use those in any passwords I come up with. Doesn't matter anyway, you know. I have a password about yay long for my Hotmail email account. It's been hacked 5 times already. I mean, they're just jumbled numbers and letters and symbols. I had to write it down because I never remember it, you know. Basically, it's you know. Because I actually used the real passwords, and apparently they got into them too easy. Well, when you got a 22-letter password that makes no sense, it's not actual words, and they still hack it, I don't give a fuck now. You want in my account, have at it. Ain't nothing there you're going to use anyway, you know. It's ridiculous. All right, Floyd says 12:18. Somebody's not hitting that like button. Don't let me find out who you are. There'll be trouble. Come on, guys, hit the fucking like, man. It's so easy to do. Floyd says, yeah, my wife does that too. I know a few people that do that. Of course, if anybody ever finds your binder, you're screwed. So I had to write down the one for, like I said, my Hotmail account because there's no way I could remember it. As I said, 22 letters and numbers, symbols. It makes no sense. Just like some drunk guy wrote it down, you know. And they still hacked it. So, you know, because I got a service that tells me when they discover me on the dark web, and that's how the shit gets hacked, and I'm on the dark. Those hacks are on the dark web. Well, fuck that, you know. I just don't care anymore, you know. As long as they don't mess with my bank account, I won't have to go on a hunting party for somebody. You know, screw with my money now. Now we're gonna have a problem. But other than that, I don't really give a same thing with my insurance company, you know, my health insurance. I'm with Humana. 2-step verification of that. You got to type in your username, password, then they send a code to your phone. Then you got to write the code down. You got like 30 seconds to do it. It's like, I don't really care if somebody hacks my health insurance account. What are you going to do? Find out what drugs they take? Who cares? You know? You can't do anything other than that, really. So, you know, it's just stupid. There you go. Boy, where do you keep the binder? Asking for a friend. There you go. It's right here beside me. There you go. You better keep that around your neck or something, right? I've seen that, Tom, and I thought about it because it holds all your passwords, and you just use a single password or PIN number or something, and it accesses all your accounts. It's pretty slick the way it works, but problem is I don't trust any of that shit. You know, I don't want anybody knowing nothing if I can help it. Now there you go, right next to the Smith and Wesson. Yeah, that's funny. Hey, real artist, how you doing? Good to see you here, man. All right, Lee, have a good one, man. Thanks for popping in, and enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next week. Waycross Train Spotter. Hey, man, how's it going? Scott, right? Haven't seen you in a while either. Hi, Jim. Reached over 500 subscribers. It's going fast, but have reached the watch hours. Good. I'm still close, but not quite. I think 489 last I looked. I don't know. I'm having a tough time reaching that 500. Anyway, congrats on that, though, man. I think from there it's easy to you'll hit 1,000 before you know it. That's like the tipping point, 500. At least near as I can tell, anyway. Jim, it's in a database. It's on your computer. Not. Oh, okay. I might look into it. Because, like I said, I go just some bullshit with these. You know, like 15 different passwords, and it's really is. It's getting hard to remember some of them. Yeah, my old ones were easy, but they all got hacked. Like I said, if they can hack a 22-digit jumbled mess, they can hack anything. So what's the point? Like I said, my bank it uses two-step verification, and even my Hotmail account, I got two-step verification now too. But it still gets hacked, so I don't get it. I don't understand how to do it because you have to access another email account in order to get the code to open up my Hotmail. So I don't know. It's all bullshit. I tell you, they ought to do. They ought to find the people doing this shit and fucking hang them. Seriously, death penalty to anybody who hacks anybody for anything. Quit fucking around with these people and just kill them. Real artist says, you are safe with me on that. I know nothing. Yeah, Sergeant Saltz. I know nothing. I don't do a very good German accent, unfortunately. And I locked again. What the hell? Come on. There we go. Yeah, that's where I'm at, 489, man. I just can't get past that. I don't know why. Of course. Oh, really? 490 now? All right, cool. And you jumped up to 492. You were behind me. Well, you were even with me for a minute. Then you got behind again. Now you're ahead of me. That's another weird thing, too, And Scott said I reached 500 2 weeks ago. That's really cool, man. I'm happy for you. Jim, I can walk you through it one day. Well, we'll talk about it down the road. I'm not in a big hurry. But I think ultimately, yeah, I might have to do something like that. 2020. All right, guys. Thank you. Yay. It's like my vision. Well, my vision's not quite 2020. It's like 2025 now, but it used to be 2060. I was legally blind. Yeah, it's amazing what cataract surgery will do for you. Yeah, not good, right? There you go, good vision. Yeah, see, there you go. You know what else was 2020? Hindsight, man. James says, I have 1017 last time I checked. Watch hours still low. Do you have a playlist? If you do, I'll get on it and I'll run them up for you. No problem, That's the easiest way to get your watch hours is to set up a playlist. Put as much of your content on it as you can, and we can all do it. We can all take turns running through it, and we'll get your watch hours up there in no time. Eric says 2320. How is that possible? There's that 23 viewers and 23 likes. Oh yeah, well I'm showing 22 on the thing, but I'm not showing my my thumbs up thing. It sticks. I'd have to reset it in order to get an accurate thing, which I'm not going to mess with right now. Yeah, no, seriously, man, that'll take care of it for you. Just and don't even think twice about it. Just ask us, and we'll absolutely every one of us will probably take care of it for you. We'll get your watch hours up in like a couple of days. Yeah, I got the watch hours. I just don't have the subs, which is really screwed up, isn't it? But if I should probably create a few shorts, but I'm not in the show. I haven't done a damn thing in here, So because that's a quick way to get your your subs up. At least that's what we're told anyway. So we'll see. Dave Nish, how you doing? Good to see you here, Dan. Good, good. Glad that you're here. Rhythm clinic. What, you going there for music or what? The dance class? I'm only messing with you, man. Well, good luck at the hospital, man. I hope everything works out well for you. The hospitals are never fun to go to. Oh, well, now what? Hey, I can't think of a single rant either, so I don't think there's going to be any rants going on. All right, Mike, have a good one, man. Thanks for popping in, and have a good weekend. We'll see you next week. Derek says now it's 17:23. Okay, yeah, we got a couple drop off, but at least we got the likes. uh, so yeah, I'm hoping to put if I could just $50 is all I'm going to spend next month in here, and I think I can get the foam I need for that, and maybe a sheet of plywood. I won't be able to finish it, but I can move further, and I could start laying the track down where the foam is. So I might start on this side over here, since it's all cleared off now. Put the foam down, because I already got the wood down, most of it, except for the last piece. The last 8 foot needs a sheet of plywood, and I can get 2 pieces out of a sheet, so I get one there, maybe one on part of the back. One sheet of foam will get me a little ways. 16 foot anyway, because they said to get 2 pieces out of it. Then I'll start laying the track up, and they said I'm going to have the intermodal yard here, possibly the scrap yard too. Well, probably the scrap yard. And I might go down further with my last 8 foot. I'll probably do my oil derricks or oil pumps and tanks and stuff like that. So I'll have my oil area, my scrap yard, and my intermodal on this part here. So that'll be out of the way. And then I said I'll punch a hole in the wall, put a turnout in for later on, for when I build outside for the helix. So this way I can build around it, you know. And I'd like to get all that done next month, so we'll see. Like I said, the money one, it says $50 will take care of the materials. And that's not really much. We'll see, though. Like I said, it depends. I said my wife will be back. We got to get her eyes fixed. She needs cataract surgery. Really, really bad. So she's trying to figure out a way to get it without a copay. That'd be cool if she does, but if she does it, then I'll pick up the copay for her and take care of that. So, but right now my bills are so low that I walk away with about almost half my check, my Social Security check. And plus, I'll get first month. I'll get another $600 rent from my mother-in-law on May 1st. So I'm going to have like $1,200 left, maybe more, which should take care of the copay on her eyes. So, you know, fingers crossed. All right, James, have a good one, man. Thanks for popping in. You have a good weekend too, and let me know when you get that playlist sorted, and we'll get your watch hours up. I'll spread the word and make sure everybody gets a link to it, and we'll get you built up right real quick. Real artist says, I'm here off and on. Lots going on here with Carrots for the Wife. Living my life and loving it. There you go. Well, like I said, I'm kind of in the same boat too. Um, like you said, the wife's got issues with her eyes right now. That's a priority. We got to get her eyes fixed, and um, that's going to be the first thing I do. And I don't know what'll happen after that. I know I got to start putting a little bit of money into the house again. There's things I want to take care of that, like the air conditioners and stuff like that. So I'm going to try and set up a small budget every month for in here, so I can at least get something done. But it won't be like I originally planned. Then I of course have to, I don't know what's happening with the property taxes. They're flip flopping on that constantly. Now the latest one is the governor says, well, we think we're just going to give you $1,000 rebate on your property tax, which for me would be great because I pay $1,300 a year, so that would knock it down to $300. That ain't shit. I could do that. I'd rather not have any property tax at all. I'm still pissed off that they're, stepping back from that. But I don't know what's gonna. It's too early to tell, But they really do need to just shit can the whole property tax, at least for the elderly, the disabled, and the veterans. 3 groups that should not be paying property tax. We'll see it happens. Tom Grace says, Jim, maybe, yeah, I'm going to do it. It's just going to do it on the inside and not all the way through. So I'll get it started. Like you said, I'll put the turnout in and one piece of track through the hole. And then later on, I could punch through the rest. And when I put up an outbuilding or however I'm going to do it. So yeah, we're thinking on the same page on that one. Ray says, I finally have enough bench work done. I can start working on track alignment. Just have rough layout lines drawn at the moment. Need to quit changing my mind on now where I want track. 3 or 4 mains. I was going to do 4 mains. And actually, Dave Thurber, Crooked Dave, he talked me out of it. He says, I realize it's your layout. You do what you want, because I'm always saying that. He says the reality is, he says, no railroad ever has more than 2 mains. I says, all right, I wasn't aware of that. I don't see what difference it makes. But, All right, have a good one, Dave, DWM Trains. Thanks for popping in. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week. So I switched it down to 2 mains. And then, of course, I did the overhead rail. So technically, I got 3 mains if you want to count the passenger rail as a separate main. Because originally, I said I wanted to have 3 mains for freight and 1 main for the passenger on the ground. And, of course, that would have been problematic in itself because I don't really have enough room for 4 mains, So, I don't know how that's going to work out. But I mean, it's your layout. You do what you want on there, and that's all that matters, Tom says Jim currently upgrading upgrading again. I'll have to update mine too. 5.10.0. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what I got on there now, but it's probably due for an upgrade. Well, Tom, you've got 3 layers too, 3 levels, and so, and you have an interesting layout. So yeah, 7 mains, you can pull that off. Like I said, it's your layout, so you can do whatever you want, Now technically, I'll have the 2 mains on the bottom, and the second level I haven't decided whether I'm going to 1 or 2 mains up there. I may do 2 up there. I'm not sure. I got plenty of track, so it really just depends upon how I want to lay it out. It might be wise to run two mains up there, and then have your sidings or branch lines off of it for the different industries. So we'll see. So yeah, I mean, you can look at it that way. Well, it's like Dave Thurber. How many mains does he have? Technically, he's at 3 levels, I think, right? Yeah, two or three. I think he's 3 levels. Or Sparky, even. How many mains has Sparky got? You know. Like I said, there's no set rule. I think on a single level, unless you have tons of room, 2 mains should be plenty. And then branch lines off of that, sidings, whatever, run around tracks. But actual main lines, you're probably just better off with 2. But, like I said, it's your layout, so you can do it however you want. Doesn't matter what I think or anybody else thinks, it's what you think. So, let me switch back over here to this camera. Floyd says, between Buffalo and Erie is Silver Creek back in the late 80s. Conrail had 4 tracks. Watched the race between 2 trains at a time. Seen as many as, I didn't know that. I don't think Dave Thurber did either. I'm sure, like I said, there's, I mean, I never thought about it, Like I said, whatever you want to do is what you're going to do, and it doesn't matter. I guess it's more about room and how good of a DCC system, if you run a DCC, it will have the capacity to run multiple engines. I think a 5 amp, which is what I have, will handle, I think they said 8 or 10 locos at a time, I think, something like that. Then you go up to the 7 amp, which you get more, and if you run boosters on it, you can run even more. So it just, like I said, depends how much money you got, is really what it comes down to. Derek says double track main lines eastbound and westbound. There you go. Yeah, you could do it that way too. Basically, I'm running 1 eastbound and 1 westbound, or north and south, however you want to look at it. They're opposite tracks. And just off of one side was the N&W track. I saw the J611 run toward Erie. Okay. Oh yeah, plus you got 2 mains on the subway. And the LEDs in the subway system started falling off the tunnel, so I designed an LED holder to glue on or screw onto the tunnel. Oh, there you go. That's cool. Yeah, I guess that could have been an issue, huh? That's good. Did you do a video on it yet? I'd like to see that. Alright, says I'm thinking 2 mains with 35-33 radius for my long steamer locos and 24 radius for the shorter ones, with switching in between, plus extend the larger radius track to tie in with my whole layout. There you go. That'll work too. That's what I'm saying. However you want to do it, whatever you got the room for and how much money you got, you do whatever you want, I mean, that just makes sense. Looking back, I should have done something vastly different with mine. I really wish I had a center aisle. And I could have done it if I would have narrowed, like, not the second level is 18 inches in depth. If I'd have done 18 inches on the lower levels, I would have had enough room to have a center aisle or an island. And I could have done so much more. But, like you said, my original plan was for a 20 by 40 layout. Instead, I wound up with, 32 by 12. 12 being the width. And my original track plan, I had to shit can it because it wasn't workable the way I had it set up in this narrower area. Because that's what I was going to do. I was going to have 2 side tables, a back table, and an island down the middle. And 20 by 40, I could do it. And I think the center island would have been like 10 foot. And the 3 foot side bench work on each side. And there's still plenty of room to walk in between them. So I can't do anything now. I just don't have the room for it because else I lose about half my weight. I couldn't get my fat ass in between the bench work. But And that's okay because I'm not tearing it down. I'm not doing it over again. This is the last time I'm doing it. You know, I may move shit around. I may, do this and that, but the bench work I'm not modifying. It is what it is, and that's the way it's staying. But looking back on it, and of course, one of the big problems, I think we're all probably guilty of it to some degree. If you're not, you're fortunate. And that is you get in a hurry, you know. You get some money together to get your materials together. You come up with a rough idea in your head, and you just run with it because, you want to get your trains running. And, about 3/4 of the way through, you're thinking, oh man, I fucked up. I should have put more thought into this. I mean, that's what I did anyway. And I've heard other guys do the same thing. Uh, so I don't know. Andy, taking off. All right, man. Have a good one, and we'll see you next time. And have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week. Ray Waller says curved turnouts that are 36 and 24. They got a 36 that's curved? That's pretty cool. Because I have one curved turn there, but I had so many problems I took it out. I got it, but I'm not using it. I have too many derailment problems on them. I don't know why. I mean, I think it's a 26-inch radius. 26 or 28. I mean, it's pretty massive turnout. But I don't know what that was a Pico, so I don't know if there are problems with them or not. Tom says Jim still cannot run trains. My NCE Power Pro power supply went bad. New one arrives tomorrow. Hopefully that fixes it. Oh, hopefully that fixes it. Yeah, I hope so too. You haven't gotten it yet? So supposed to get it tomorrow. Oh, that's cool. I know the mail system is all fucked up right now. I heard that USPS, they're cutting their hours or something. I know they laid off like 50,000 people. Something like that. And they're saying it might take longer to get packages now. It's like, what else is new? That I drive by myself and I am taking over my living. Well, I live by myself and I'm taking over my living room. There you go. Well, if you live alone, then you can get away with that. Well, it's like cousin Vinny. He lives alone. His whole house is, well, half his house I think was his layout, and then he scaled back on it. He's only using 2 rooms now instead of 4, something like that. And of course, I think he's got one room dedicated to model cars now because he's doing the model car building and shipbuilding and all the other stuff. So, and you can do that if you live alone. I mean, I live alone temporarily right now. I don't think I would do that. I mean, I have a huge house, you know. If I took my living room and dining room and made it into a layout, it would make this look like a utility shed. It's huge. My house is 3,500 square foot. It's big. Only 2 bedrooms. The living room is humongous. The dining room is humongous. And the master bathroom or master bedroom is not small, but bigger than most places, I guess. Now, the second bedroom's not that big, but still a decent size. I mean, if I wasn't married and didn't have anybody living with me, I would convert the master bedroom, the living room, and the dining room into a train room. I probably wouldn't do it, but just, fantasizing a little bit. And like I said, it would make this place look like a small 8x8 shed in comparison. I mean, it's a massive room, but the problem with that is it would cost a fortune to set it up. I mean, bench work, track, buildings. I mean, it would be crazy. I mean, I spent a fortune in here, I can't imagine. I said I originally wanted a 20 by 40 shed, and in a way, I'm glad I didn't get one because I wouldn't be able to outfit it. I mean, I just couldn't do it. You know, I think I'd barely have enough money to even get the inside done and some of the bench work, and I would have ran out of money. So, I mean, that would have been a problem all the ways around. So, it all worked out for the best based on my income, you know. Now, if I won a lottery now, well, if I ever win the lottery, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy another one of these sheds. Maybe two of them, butt them all up together, you know, knock out the center walls, or at least have big openings, you know, to get into them. And I would expand my layout, you know, 3 times. And I wouldn't hesitate if I won a lottery because, you know, I'd be a multi-millionaire. But problem with that is I don't play, so it's kind of hard to win. Oh, I've been thinking about maybe I should at least buy maybe 1 or 2 tickets a month. If I win, I win. If I don't, I'm only out, what, $10? Big deal, you know. But we'll see. Like I said, because, you know, being I'm married, I have a wife that lives with me. Will be again. You know, I would never. I mean, I could have took my garage and made that into a train room. But the problem was, is I'm really stubborn with that. It's like, you know, I want a garage for my fucking car, you know, and that was going to be the end of that. Because I rented one place with a garage and I got spoiled with it. Every place I ever lived at didn't have a garage and doesn't even have a carport, you know. And down here in the heat, I mean, the heat and the sun, they just destroy your car, you know. UV radiation and all that. Plus you climb into a hot car, you know, halfway through the day. My car sits in the garage. I go out there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The car's still cool because it's cool in the garage, you know. So I'm not burning my hands on the steering wheel or anything. So I'm saying, if you have a garage, it's made for your car, not for your trains. I mean, if you put your trains in there, that's your choice. But I wasn't going to do it. I was dead set on having an actual train shed. And I had the money to do it, so I did. Well, I almost wished I'd have bought 2 of these sheds instead of 1. Because at the time, this was $8,200. I could have got 2 for, you know, just under 17,000. And even if I couldn't finish the second one anytime soon, at least it would have been there, you know. And for later expansion, I said I would have had it butted up together. Maybe 2 or 3 openings between it. So yeah, it would have been nice, but you know, hindsight is 20/20, right? So that just didn't happen. And did I get locked up here again? Yeah, I did. Let's see. Hey Ray, I thought you were jitterbugging into your living room. Tom says Atlas custom line curved turnout has 30 outside and 22 inside radius. Wow, that's pretty good. And code 83. I use 100, but you could always do transition pieces in between it if they didn't make it 100. You know, no big deal. Ray says right now I have the bench work for an 11 by 12, and they do a 12 extension, but need a lift up to get to the back bedrooms. That was another problem I had too. I never count on having a drop down. I don't like the idea. I still don't like it. You know. But I had no choice. There's no other way to do this. Not really. So it is what it is. Joints are old, no more dancer for me, Floyd. I never did dance, but if I did, I can't do it anymore. Yeah, I mean, I slow danced a little bit, but I probably still could, but I probably look stupid, so I'm just not doing it. Yeah, I can't walk right. What makes you think I can dance, right? Uh, DB Tech. Hey, DB, how you doing? Says my garage is for my tools and woodworking stuff. When my son moved out, I took his room for the train. There you go. That's the way to do it. Exactly. So I said I had a spare bedroom back in Naples, and that's what I made my train room out of because I didn't even have a garage or a carport or anything. So, um, and I almost thought about because it was a 3 bedroom place in the front where I lived, and you had the front bedroom, which used to be my sister's bedroom. The master bedroom was in between it, and then the third bedroom was my old bedroom. And I thought, because Debbie wanted to move into the front bedroom, and I'm thinking, well, we could probably do that. It's not real big, but it's nice. And I could have knocked a hole in the wall between the master and the third bedroom, and would have had a massive layout, actually, because the master bedroom was pretty big, and the third bedroom wasn't. It was it was probably about 11 by 14 thereabouts, and I think the master was like 16 by 16. So I actually did kick it around for a bit, but then like I said, it got to the point where I knew it was time to move because we'd be taxed out of the house anyway. So I put it up for sale and came up here. Uh, there you go. I can play the I fall and can't get up game and don't even need to be drinking. Yeah, me too, Ray. I didn't fall down, but when I was working on the truck, my Ranger, I had it up on the ramps and I went to get under. I got down easy enough to get under it, and I didn't have the strength to break the bolts. I mean, they were on really. You always needed an impact really to break them loose. But the guy I hired, the fireman, he busted his hand, but he got them broke loose. But he wound up slicing the palm of his hand on a piece of sheet metal or something. But anyway, I figured I couldn't do it, so it was time to get back up. Yeah, it took me 20 minutes to get up, and I was smart. I parked my scooter next to the truck, and there's a basket on the back, and I was able to grab the basket and hoist myself up that way. It was still hard, but if it wasn't for that, I would have had to call somebody to pick my ass up. There's no way I would have got up. And so, I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about, man. It sucks, but, it happens when you get old, and especially if you're fucked up to begin with, like me, And it's funny because, I was out there mowing the lawn. It was last year. And I wasn't paying attention. I don't know what the fuck I was doing, daydreaming or something. I ran the back tire up the property marker. Well, it flipped the mower over, right? And I got a John Deere rider. It flipped it over. I didn't get hurt or nothing, but, because as soon as I came off the seat, it shut down. And I was so mad that I wasn't paying. I just got up. I mean, that easily, man. Just got up, flipped it back on its wheels, jumped on it, started up, and and to this day, I don't know how I did. I guess because I was mad and I wasn't thinking about it. It was just like reflex or something, They say that you're really limited by your own self-imposed limitations. In other words, if you think you're fucked up, you will be, sort of. That's like, they say insane people are like the mother who picks up a car that fell on her kid, to save his life, and she literally throws the car off of him. It's been documented, it happens, but the thing is we're convinced from the time we can crawl of all the things we can't do. Oh, you can't do that, that's too heavy. You can't do that, it's because you're not fast enough or strong enough or whatever. It's already in your mind, all right? But in that moment where you lose common sense or whatever, and you act strictly on instinct and you want to save your kid's life or your husband or whatever, you just do it. And that's kind of what happened when I fell off the mower. I was so mad that I did something that stupid, and I just, boom, got up. I don't know how the hell I did. I just got up and flipped it back on its wheels, jumped on it, and fired it up and continued on, and it's like, that's weird. Anyway, think about it till about, a few minutes later, well, shit, how the hell did I do that, had nothing to really help me get up. I literally got up on my own, you know. I usually have to have something I can hang on to and use my arms because my strength is in my upper body. I got no strength in my legs, but that day I did. So, and that's, the thing, that's karate and martial arts is based on the same thing. When you, this way I was taught anyway, and it does work because I actually utilized it. I used to tell people in the junkyard, I used to practice punching out windows, and never hurt myself doing it. And the thing is, what the way martial arts work is you're supposed to visualize what you're going to hit beyond what you're actually hitting. So if the object is here, you imagine it over here, and so you don't realize that's how you don't get hurt. So you're fooling your own mind, your own limitations. And that's how them guys can break wood and cinder blocks and shit, not fuck their hands up, Because if you think about it, if you hit a fucking brick wall, you're gonna break your hand and probably not hurt the brick any. But yet martial arts, they could actually break the brick wall, and they don't hurt themselves. Visualization technique. I utilize that, like I said, when I worked at the junkyard. I'd pop windows and I'd visualize the window beyond where it was, and I never got hurt and always broke the window. Some of them windows, you could take a baseball bat to them and they don't break, We used to throw cinder blocks at the windows. If you didn't hit it right, it wouldn't break the window. But I was able to punch them out. Saying that guy tried to jump me once, and it was pure luck probably, but I kind of turned a little bit. I grabbed his arm and I threw him over me. He was a lot bigger than me too. I probably had the strength to do it, but I did it with such ease because it was instinct and I wasn't thinking. And it scared the guys. What the fuck, man? He must have thought I was a martial arts guy or something. If you better not screw with me. Boom, just threw him right over, man. So yeah, it does work, So I think that's what happened. Maybe something happened where an emergency or something, I had to run, either to save somebody or to save myself, whatever. If I wasn't thinking, I might actually be able to break into a sprint. Who knows? Because you're only limited by what your brain tells you. And there is a lot of truth to that. There we go. If there's any money left over, we could buy them some sleeves. All you mean these? I don't like sleeves, man. I cut the sleeves off most of my shirts. They're more comfortable that way. I don't know why. I just started doing that. It's not like a tough guy image or anything. That's not why I do it. I do it because they're cooler that way, and they're easier to get on and off too. You stop when it hurts, yeah. Yeah, then a special order. No, I didn't have a special order. I cut them all in. All right, Floyd, have a good one, man. Thanks for popping in. We'll see you next week. And have a good weekend and a safe one. And remember to play with your trains. Yeah, it's true, Ray. I guess adrenaline is wonderful when you really need it. Your body is stronger than we think. Well, I said retards and stuff. I know that's a bad word to use, but retarded people generally, like people in the sane asylums, they are extremely strong and dangerous because they don't know they're not supposed to be. Like I said, we go through our entire lives being told you can't lift that car because you're not, nobody can. It's beyond a human's capability. So in your brain, it's there, it's in there for life. So you can't do it. But say your kid or your wife or whatever is pinned underneath the car, and without thinking, you just grab that fucker and throw it off of them. It's happened so many times. It's documented. Where women did it. Little 5'4" woman tossed a fucking full-size car off her kid and saved his life. Because at the heat of the moment, she lost her mind, sort of, and forgot that she can't do it. And it's the same thing with insane people, or some retards are like that. They don't know what they can and can't do. If you don't know you can't do it, or you don't think you can't do it, you can do it. That's kind of weird, but it's true. Says, yeah, right, no problem until the adrenaline wears off. I guess that could be a problem, but Who knows? Um, so I never thought about it, but I did utilize it because I was sort of studying martial arts a little bit when I was young. You know, 'cause I had a friend he was a black belt karate third degree. I mean, people were afraid of him because basically he had a license to kill or the capability to kill you with his hands or his feet. And so I kind of took an interest in it because I was bullied a lot when I was in middle school, and I thought, well, that'd be a good way. This way, I'd be assured to win. Because it's one thing to fight; it's another thing to fight knowing you can win. It gives you a whole different attitude. So, and I did utilize it a little bit. I mean, by no means was I an expert or anything. I mean, I don't know what the lowest belt is. That would have probably been me. I don't know, was it a white belt or something? But hey, I mean, it did what it did. Hey, Low Country Road, how you doing, man? Good to see you here. Yeah, I know it's been a while, but you're here now. Of course, you missed all the good shit. You'll have to go back and watch the replay. uh, yeah, white belt. I thought it was. I wasn't sure. There's what? There's 12 belts altogether. 12 different colors, I think. Black being the highest, and then you go into degrees after that. I think the highest degree is like 6th degree or something like that. 8th, I don't remember. But I mean, it's pretty impressive. I mean, but the funny thing is, and that's where the TV shows really screwed you up. Everybody knows Bruce Lee. Now, I don't care how good you are. If somebody pulls out their 45, 357, or even their 9, and you ain't close enough to throw that kick, you're fucking gonna die. You don't bring karate to a gunfight. You just don't do it unless you're in close quarters. Then you can get away with it. But if you're far enough away where you can't reach your assailant, you're fucked. And unfortunately, the TV shows, the movies that he was in, he was always able to dodge bullets and stuff. It's like, yeah, that don't happen in real life. I try to watch you on my other channel, Flashback Model. Okay. So, yeah, but no, there really is a lot of truth to that, though. So you're only limited by your own limitations that are self-imposed, or I said, as you grow up, you're constantly told, "Oh, you can't do that," or "That's not possible." No human could do that, but that's really a lie. Could you imagine what life would be like if we were taught we could do those things? And you didn't know that you couldn't do them, and it would be normal for people to be throwing cars around and shit. I mean, who's to say? Okay. It says different arts have different rankings. Kung Fu has brown belt and Kempo does not. I know what Kung Fu is. I think I've heard of Kempo, but I'm not sure. I know there's different. There's Jiu-Jitsu and there's so many different ones. So, like I said, I wasn't that interested in it. I mean, I wasn't interested enough to actually go to a dojo and learn. But I tried to pick up what I could on my own, and I did research some of it. That's how I learned the visualization technique. That's how they did it, and it kind of makes sense. That's why I always see that. Just they're the way they carry themselves and stuff. You can almost see them visualizing things. And it actually does work. So what the hell, right? I don't know if I actually got in a fight and my life was in danger. Would I be able to do something without a gun? I don't know. I mean, I've kind of convinced myself that no, I can't. I even have a shirt that says, "Too old to fight, too slow to run," or something like that. But I'll just shoot you instead. And that's why I own a gun and why I carry one. Because I just don't think I could beat anybody. I think if a kid I think if a 13-year-old came up and had some fighting skills, I would probably lose against them, because I can't fight anymore. I have no balance. I don't have any strength. I mean, that's the reality of it. That's just the way it is. Derek says it's easy to visualize going past what you're hitting when it's glass and clear as opposed to a brick. That may be true, but not necessarily, because like I said, it's all in your mindset, and you got to psych yourself up. As I guess if you're looking at that brick, and you're thinking, okay, that brick is actually 4 inches beyond where I think it is. You have to establish that mindset. And they say that martial arts is mostly mental anyway. It's all in their heads, that how they look at things, how they think about things. So I believe that. Like I said, that was my dad used to tell me that in World War II. He didn't run into any of them, but some of his buddies, fought some of the Japanese. And the Japanese, they wouldn't die. You had to literally cut their heads off to stop them. I mean, you could pump them full of bullets and they would still keep coming at you. They wouldn't die till they killed you, because they had that mindset, They had a mission. I've got to kill the enemy, and I'm not going to die before I kill him first. And apparently it worked, because he said that, and they got to the point where they literally cut the heads off some of these Japanese soldiers to stop them. The bullets wouldn't do it. I mean, eventually they'd die, but they had enough mental something going on there that they simply wouldn't die or slow down until they got a hold of you and killed you. Because that was their mindset. It's strange, but it's apparently true. So it's like, So I think, yeah, I think if you really psyched yourself up properly and had that much discipline, mental discipline, you could probably do it. I remember in Golden Gate, long time, it was about 25 years ago now, but the cops two sheriffs went to a domestic disturbance in Golden Gate City. They used to call it Golden Ghetto. And they had whites in there too, so it wasn't really black. But anyway, this black family, I guess the husband was either threatening or beating on his wife. So they got there, they tried to, they called him out and said, you need to come out here, or we can't have you beating your wife, So he comes out, he was all pissed off. Big guy too, he's like probably 250, 300 pounds, like 6 foot tall. Big black dude, Comes out there, he tries to kick the shit out of the sheriffs, right? They put 32 fucking rounds into him, all center mass. He didn't even die, They tased him. That's how they took him down. The bullets wouldn't fucking hold him. They wouldn't drop him. So they tased him, and that's finally what brought him down. And they were able to handcuff him, and he went to the hospital. And he lived through it. I don't think any of them hit his heart, but they hit everything else. And he lived through it. 32 fucking bullets. And that's another reason why I don't like a 9, because 9s are not very good for killing people. Apparently, hear about too many people living through that shit. Shoot you with the 45, you're gonna die. That's all there is to it, So, hey, Russ is rocking on HO trains and stuff. How you doing, Russ? Good to see you. Yeah, Derek. I always liked that one. What was that? The hell was that movie? I think it was Monty Python. Oh, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Come back and fight like a man. This is a mere flesh wound. After he lost both arms, both legs, he's on the ground going, come on back here and fight, That was funny as shit, but... No, that's what they thought at first, Russ. He was stone sober. They did, drug tested him and alcohol, nothing in him. He was just pissed off. And I guess if they hadn't done it, he probably would have killed his wife. Who the hell knows? But, that's what I'm saying, to me. Now, of course, I put 2 in your chest and that don't slow you down. The next one's going in your head. And that will take you down. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how much mental control you got. A bullet to the brain will definitely shut you down, So I know I don't think the cops are allowed to do that, but that's why I couldn't be a cop because I wouldn't fuck around. One in the heart, one in the head. That motherfucker's dead. I ain't screwing around with you. You're a threat to me. If I think you're gonna hurt or try and kill me, I'm gonna get you first. And of course, that's pretty much the way I conduct things anyway. I mean, if somebody broke into my house, same deal, double tap. One in the heart, one in the head, or vice versa. But either way, you're not walking out of there ever. And that's just the way you have to do it. I don't do warning shots. I don't do leg shots or arm shots. Center mass, one in the head. Because I don't know what you're doing in my house. 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever. I assume you're going to hurt me. No, I ain't going to have none of that shit. Or, yeah, no, he really did. Was it the Black Knight? The Guardians of the Bridge or whatever? He swiped one arm, then the other arm, then a leg, then the other leg, and I think he finally walked away. Or no, it was the Black Knight that lost everything. It was Arthur that fought him and took off his limbs, and he finally just walked away and crossed the bridge, and the Black Knight was still yelling at him. It's just a flesh wound. Come back here and fight, you coward, I love that movie. It's funny as shit, man. Weird, but funny. Of course, anything Monty Python did was funny anyway. So, but, like I said, but it's so weird how your mind works, though, So, the good news is if you ever go insane, you'll probably have the strength of, 20 guys. Or what good it'll do, I have no idea, but at least you'll have it, right? I think even the Japanese kamikaze pilots, they said they did something. They weren't afraid to die. I mean, because the whole idea of sacrificing yourself for no good reason, it goes against human nature, and your brain would probably prevent you from doing it. Like, this is not a bad idea, dude. Turn around. But they had the mindset that apparently that it didn't bother them to do it, and they did. They flew right into boats and everything else, and I would not give my life up for much. I would maybe do it to save my wife, maybe, but it depends, because you have to look at the big picture. All right, let's say you do step in front of a bullet, okay, to save your wife or your kids or whatever. Now you're dead. Well, the guy's probably got a second bullet. Guess what? He's going to kill your wife or your kid anyway. So you died for nothing. I mean, if you look at it for what it really, for what it actually is, that's what would happen. Now, if you had a guarantee that you would give your life to save your wife or your kids, that's a different story. But there's usually not a guarantee with that. Yes, Monty Python was hilarious. They were funny fuckers. I used to watch their weekly show when I was right after I got married. Actually, I was 17, and they were on Friday night. Monty Python's Flying Circus. I love that show, man. Dumb as shit, but funny as hell. Joe says, "I bet she gives great helmet." I'm sure. Spaceballs. Yeah, that was another funny movie. The little kamikaze pilot. Yeah, right? They tried to convince us to be like that till death do us part. Yeah, well, like I said, there are times that, you have to weigh the options, Like I said, throwing your life away for no good reason doesn't make sense. If it's actually to save your loved one, that's another story, but they're going to die anyway. What's the point? Why would you throw your life away, I'm not saying you should run away or anything, but there might be another way to go about it where maybe you'll both live. Well, Saturday Night Live was back. That was good back in the day. When they had the original cast in there. I mean, we all remember them. Jane, you slut. I mean, this shit was funny. Belushi was in there, and all them good guys. But I watched it. I was a couple years back, and I thought this is stupid. And I won't watch it anymore because it just sucks. My wife watches a little bit, but I guess on occasion. But me, I just don't. I don't see it. Hey, Raymond Anthony, 127. How you doing, Ray? Good to see you here. What did Meatloaf say? So now I'm praying for the end of time. Yeah, the dashboard, Paradise by Dashboard Lights, I think it was. He was another talented guy. Back in the 70s was great. Yeah, actually it was. It was a different time. The rest says, live to fight another day. Absolutely. Dave says back when, yeah, it was funny at one time, but when the original cast and crew left, I think they should have just shut the show down, Because it really, I mean, now they got these idiots in there that, the only thing that they can talk about is Trump or some other bullshit, stupid thing. It's like, really? That's not even funny. I mean, not really, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. It's not, wasn't that? No, it was Paradise by the Dashboard Lights, wasn't it? Maybe it was 2 out of 3. I don't remember. It was one of the two. That was the Bat Out of Hell album was the best one I thought he did. And I think it had both of them songs and one of them on it. I don't have it anymore. I used to have the record album. That was a long time ago, but I don't have it anymore. Different song, okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Paradise by the Dashboard Lights because they got the baseball announcer on there, and he's going up the pitch or whatever. He makes it to first base, then he makes it to second base. He's feeling her out or whatever, and when he's going for third base, third or home, I don't remember which, and she goes, "Stop right there." You ain't getting none till you fucking marry me. It's not what she said, but something of that. I mean, pretty funny, really. Then he winds up marrying her and promising her he'd love her till the day he died. And then, like, toward the end, he says, I can't wait till I die. That's fucking funny as shit. Is he still alive or did he die? I don't remember. I mean, last I heard he was still alive, but that was a couple years back, so I don't know if he's still alive or not. He's probably getting up there in age, though. The sweaty balls get still cracked. Yeah, I remember that one. That was funny. Before we go, yeah, that's right. Before we go any further, well, he died in 20. Okay, I thought he did. I wasn't sure. That's a shame though. He was a talented musician. Not a bad actor. Well, he played in. The only one I ever saw that he was in was Rocky Horror Picture Show. He was Columbia's boyfriend, I think, because he came in on a motorcycle and they wound up serving him up. They cooked him. What's that? Was it Meatloaf again? That was fucking funny as shit. If you guys ever seen that Rocky Horror Picture Show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I have that on video. I'll have to watch it again one of these days. It's been a long time since I've seen it. We used to go to the theaters and watch it. And back in the day, they allowed you to use all the props. You go in there with a squirt gun, a Bic lighter, popcorn, I think, or rice for the wedding scene. And they had all different lines, And I had all that shit memorized, And they even had a guy would come in with his bike, in and out real quick because, you know, it was inside. You couldn't really have a motorcycle running in there. But during the Meatloaf scene, he'd ride through and then ride back. That was the greatest thing ever. That was a midnight show, you know. Said I saw Meatloaf in concert and he did a flip on the stage and later passed out and needed oxygen but finished. Damn. Well, he's a big guy, you know. That's not surprising. I'm surprised he did the flip. But still pretty cool, though, when you think about it. Hey, you know, that's the thing. I mean, I like some of the later music, you know, some of it. I mean, nothing brand new. Because all this new music now is garbage as far as I'm concerned. But I thought the 70s and 80s music was probably the best music ever. You know, some of the 60s music was good too, but I kind of outgrew the 60s music. You know, I got more into the, you know, especially have, you know, any kind of metal. I was pretty much into, you know, AC/DC and I can't think of half of them now. But I like metal, you know, acid rock, whatever you want to call it. But the music today is just, I mean, it's not the same. Every generation goes through this. You remember our parents, you listen to that garbage. You know, my dad listened to, you know, big band music from the 40s and 50s. That was his music, you know. My mother was kind of the same way. And, you know, I mean, I didn't mind his music. I mean, I listened to some of it too. I mean, I have a very wide audience for music, but I mean, you know, people in his generation, they didn't like our music, and now we're kind of in the same boat. We're our parents, you know. Hey, listen to that crap. You know? Of course, they didn't have rap music back then either. I always thought rap was the worst shit ever, you know. And I'm not real big in country either, but some of it's not bad, you know. But, you know, there's only so many ways you can lose your girlfriend or your wife and your pickup truck and your dog and your trailer. And, you know, and of course, if you play music backwards, you get all that shit back. But I just, I mean, I found it depressing. My dad got into country for a while and he was listening to all this country music, you know, so some of the old greats, I guess you'd call them. And they were so sad and boring and depressing. How could you listen to that shit, you know? All they talk about is losing their wives. You know, their wife left them, their dog left them, they lost their trailer, they lost their pickup truck. You know, it's like, fuck that shit, man. Russ says I would break an trying to do a flip. Yeah, me too, man. I might have been able to do it when I was young and thin, but I sure as hell wouldn't try it now. That's like just screaming broken hip, you know. And that's on a good end. I renamed rap to grap. Rap is crap. Yeah, there you go. I can't listen to. I mean, there's a lot of shit that I can't like. Even the Jamaican music, I don't like either. That was real big. That was in the '90s, I think, and I couldn't listen to that. It just bothered me. I mean, certain tonal qualities kind of really, you know, get with me, I guess. And the tonal qualities of some of the 70s and 80s music was pleasing to me. You know, rock and roll and even some easy listening, but um, rap just kind of pisses me off. You know, it's like, how can you listen to that shit? You know, and I really don't want to listen to people killing cops or raping their wives or their girlfriends or whatever. I mean, who wants to listen to that shit, man? What the fuck's wrong with you people? You know. I guess you sing what you do, I guess. Yeah. Is that life imitates art or something like that? Art imitates life. I think that's how it works. So, some deal like that. But, shut the door. The smell finally get away. I guess whatever they were burning, they stopped because I don't smell smoke anymore. and my air conditioner seemed to clean itself up. So they have a cleaning cycle on there, and I actually never used it, but I went ahead and hit it, and it seemed to work. So it won't clean the filters, but I think it does something else that cleans something in it, and maybe the coil somehow. They say it's supposed to remove fine dust and shit, so I don't know. Might have worked. Dave says, sure is, Russ. Absolutely. That's what he said. I can't deal with none of that shit, but. Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, Queen. Queen was good, too, you know. High school graduation, we walked through Queen. We are the champions. That appropriate song, right? That was like We Will Rock You, man. Then I had that other one, the bicycle one there. I can't remember the title to it. I Ride My Bike or some shit like that. I used to get stuck in my ear all the time, man. It's always singing that internally. It's weird. I'm saying that those guys actually have real talent. The shit they're doing today is just noise. I mean, the way I see it. I mean, the kids love it, you know. Gen X, Gen Z, or yeah, probably Gen Z, but they like that shit, and I'm thinking, Fat Bottom Girls, I remember that one. Who did that? Shit. I can't remember the name of the band now. That wasn't ZZ Top did that, did it? I don't remember. One of the ZZ Top members died, I think, last year. Queen did that? Yeah, maybe. I don't remember, you know. Oh, Sharp Dressed Man that ZZ Top did. That was pretty good, too. Yeah, I guess it was Queen that did Fat Bottom Girls. Okay. Well, it was somebody else, but I'm not sure. I saw it was Fat Bottom Girls. Yeah, well, it's easy. I mean, you know, a lot of them guys that you didn't understand afterwards. We had the words all fucked up, you know. There was a few songs where I thought one word meant something, it was something else, didn't find out till later. You know, that's not the right word, dude. Oh, shit, it ain't. But seriously, though, they had talent, you know. That crap they're turning out nowadays, man, what the fuck? Yeah, LaGrange, ZZ Top. I love ZZ Top. The only one I wasn't real crazy about was, that one was kind of slow. What the hell is the name of that song? It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember it now, but out of all the songs they did, that was the only one I was like, I can't remember what it was now, but Bohemian Rhapsody, yeah, that was good. That's a Bang on the Dashboard song. Yeah, absolutely. What I'm saying, you know, I don't think we'll ever see performers that is going to be as good as that anymore. I just don't see it. You know, they're all dying off, and I'm amazed at that. Fuck. That was the name of that group, man. The oldest fucking ones out there. I can't remember the fucking name. I think I'm losing my mind. Um, I really can't remember. Damn it. Oh, that ugly fucker. What the hell is his? I can't remember his name either. Yeah, English group. Uh, Somebody will come up with it. I can't remember. Yeah, cheap sunglasses. That was good. In fact, I was playing one of their songs the other day. She Was Hot. That's a great song. And the woman they had, but she died, unfortunately. She had cervical cancer and died shortly after she did the video. But that was a hell of a song, man. That's it. I can't remember the name of the group now. Rolling Stones. There we go. The Rolling Stones. I can't believe them guys are still alive. You know? What are they, like 200 fucking years old now? I get, well, they say they had really good drugs, but they're really clean drugs. And they say that actually lengthens your life, which is hard to believe, but have you seen the Cats doing Bohemian Rhapsody? No, I haven't seen that one. Or did I see it? I don't know. I don't remember. Probably funny though if I did see it. I don't remember it. Yeah, Styx was good. Chicago was good too. I said they were all good. Most of them were great bands, you know. And you're just not going to find anything like that anymore. I mean, they're gone, you know. FAF, fuck around, find out. Keith Richard has been dead for 20 years but doesn't know it. That guy looks like he's been dead for 20 years, doesn't it? That's what I'm saying. I can't believe him and the other guy there, the lead for Rolling Stones. I don't know how both of them fuckers are still alive, you know. But Keith Richards, yeah, he does look like he's been dead for a while. Funny as fuck, yeah, without a doubt. But I've heard though that they have when they buy their cocaine and shit, it's so clean that it doesn't actually, it's not bad for them supposedly. See, most of the shit that people buy on the street's garbage. You know, it's got fillers in it and shit. Who knows what they put in strychnine, whatever. Yeah, Mick Jagger. Well, him and Keith Richards, they still do it, I guess. You know, still snorting coke, but it's so clean and so pure that it actually helps them instead of hurts them. Go figure, right? Dave said he was at the Garden of Eden too. Yeah, makes you wonder, doesn't it? Tell you what, though, they're two talented motherfuckers, you know. And Keith Richards, man, he can play guitar, and Mick Jagger, well, Jagger's Jagger. I mean, ugly as shit. He's always been ugly. I think he was an ugly kid, you know. Here, I'm not going to click on that because it'll throw me out of it, but I'll check on it later. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just, you know, it is what it is. And I built up my own collection of songs. I got about 400 songs that I've got on an SD card, and I plug those into both my car and my Ranger. They're updated radios, and don't have cassette decks in either one, or even CD players. The last one I had in the car had a CD player in it, but when it quit, when I went to replace it, I couldn't find one with a CD player anymore. They'll take USB cards, you know, and they'll take SD cards, and of course, both mine take the micro SD card, which is fine, as long as the USB port's on them. But I couldn't find one at a decent price that had a CD player in it. The good news is, they're only this fucking deep. So you don't have to worry about shoving it all the way in the dash, because my old one was about, yeah, it was about that deep. Almost 10 inches. So, you know, you had to make sure everything behind it was out of the way to get it in there. And the new one, that wasn't a problem. Like, that's only that thick. I guess technology does come in handy in some ways. Jagger fell off the stage jumping around when he was like 65. Yeah, I know. So I'm saying, them guys, well, they're in their, what, their 70s or 80s now? I'm not really sure, but yeah, that's true, Dave. They're not, like you said, everything now is, you know, either SD card or USB ports. Well, they're going to phase out the CDs anyway, I guess. And because I had burnt a bunch of CDs for my own music. So I would just, you know, I'd have like 20 songs on each CD. And, you know, I kept them in the car. So that was kind of before they used the SD cards. Then when it came up with the SD cards, it's like, well, I might as well go to that. The nice thing about those, though, is that they don't get stuck in the player. Because I've had CDs get stuck in the player before. Have to take the whole thing out of the dash, take it apart, remove the CD, and hope it don't happen again. Or you don't really have that problem with an SD card. Uh, they do go bad. So I have all my music backed up on this computer and on the other computer, and I think I've got it on a backup drive as well. Because I don't listen to radio anymore. Radio sucks, just they play the new shit. And it's mostly commercials. I don't want to listen to fucking commercials. I want to listen to music, So, even my neighbor, he's got I don't know what it is. I guess it's an SD card player, I guess. It's a small unit. He's got it in his garage. And all his songs are pre-recorded, too. Basically did the same thing I did. So, everybody's going over to that, and they're going to phase out CDs, I guarantee it. They're just, well, yeah, they said they're 40-year-old technology, Hey, look, I started out with 8-tracks. I know you guys all know what those are, you older ones. You remember them fucking things? Most of them wound up out the fucking window after the player ate them. And then they went to cassette, and as soon as the cassette prices came down, I went and invested in one. And they didn't eat cassettes that often, but they had happened. And then they went to the CDs, so I said, well, shit, I might as well go with CDs. And now they're basically, SD cards is for pretty much everything you got. Or a USB card. One of these fucking things. I got these things all over the fucking place. But, in fact, I just did a deal. I got them off of T-Mo. I got 10 32 gig SD card, or, USB cards for like $6. Can't go wrong there. Because radio does suck, FM and even the satellite's expensive, right? Because my wife wanted, she said, why don't we get one of those, like Sirius, or was it Sirius? And there's another one. I said, yeah, but they cost money. Why would you pay for that? I got the fucking music. It don't cost me nothing. So I just sit and use, like I said, just do that. Yeah, it's been a while. I said, I'm trying to think of the last time I had a cassette player in my car that came from the factory. I think it was back in the 90s. I'm sure they still made them after that, but like the stock stereo in my Grand Marquis, that had a CD player in it. And the problem with that, it ate a CD. And I couldn't even get the CD out. It destroyed it. So I said, well, it's time to shit can this thing, and I bought an aftermarket one for it. And that was pretty neat because they had a wiring kit to go between the stock connector and the aftermarket connector. I had to plug it in. You didn't have to fuck around with splicing wires and shit, which was nice. I've done it before, but it was nice not to have to do it. Just plug it in, shove it in the dash, you're ready to rock and roll. And like here in Sebring, I don't even think they have an FM rock station here. I think the nearest one is probably Orlando. So, and like I said, a lot of times it's more commercials and bullshit. I don't want to listen to that. I want to listen to music. Ray says, I love my CDs and DVDs. I miss my reel-to-reel tape. I had one of those too back in the day. I had a, shit, what was that expensive one? Can't even remember now, but we bought it at an auction. I paid like $100 for it. Had the big 10-inch reels on it. Yeah, that was a nice Daiwa. I think it was Daiwa, something like that. Nice machine. But nobody uses them anymore. They're pretty well extinct. Well, that's funny that you said, because vinyl's coming back. They got digital vinyl now. They got digital players that plug into your system, and it's digitized. Still plays the record, but you get digital quality sound out of it. Figure that one, right? That's kind of weird. They say it's a big thing. It's coming back, but they said you're talking big money, and I just can't see spending that kind of money on it. Russ said my dad had a 74 VW thing. I remember those things with an 8-track. My dad loved 8-track. They had a 4-track before that. I actually, well, I don't know about the car, but I had a home unit. Fucking thing was huge. It was a big box, tabletop thing. And it was a bigger cartridge than the 8-track, but only had 4 tracks on it. And you couldn't find music. I mean, it came with a few, but you couldn't actually buy 4-track cartridges anymore. But I wound up throwing it away. But it was the coolest thing because I didn't know they made such a thing. I guess that was right after the reel-to-reel. They went to the 4-track briefly, and then went to the 8-track because it made more sense. Remember before they came up with the DVDs, they had those big album size discs. I can't remember what they're called now, but some sort of a disc. And that never they thought that was going to be the next big thing because you can get movies in one movie on each disc, but they were the size of a regular record, 33 speed record album. And they came and went real fast. They never caught on. And then the smaller DVD came out, and that did take off. Damn right. Yeah, of course it's old school. Had a teak. Yeah, I remember the teaks. Yeah, I think mine was a Daiwa or something like that. I'm pretty sure it started with a D. It was a nice unit, man. It was like, I guess when it was new, it was around $700 or $800. And so I got the auction. It was barely used, and I paid $100 for it. I wanted to bid. But at that point, I mean, people were already they were in the cassettes were already out, so reel-to-reel use was not real popular. But they actually had better quality, better audio quality than the cassettes did if you played at the faster speeds. Dave says FM and even satellite beat the shit out of the same 12 or so songs over and over. Yeah, that's true. Oh, that was the problem with the DVDs. At most you got what, like 14 songs on it? See, well, that's where the SD card, I think I've got 56 songs on there that I like to hear over and over again. But it'll actually fit all 400 whatever I got, easily. The only problem with it is you can't. I mean, you can't like ask for a specific song. Remember, some of the CD players, you could pick the track you wanted, and you could name the track. So you just punch it in what you wanted, and it would go right to that track, which was kind of a neat idea. But you can't do that with an SD card. At least I don't think you can anyway. At least nothing I got will. So I got to pretty much listen to it either in order or skip ahead. I mean, well, I take that back because the one I got, yeah, both of them, the car and the truck, it's got a list. You can scroll and hit the one you want. Yeah, I forgot about that. So yeah, you can, even though it's on the SD card. But it's kind of a pain in the ass to do that, so I just turn it on and let it go. Russ says, I will keep my CD and DVDs probably until I pass away. Well, why not? I still got a ton of DVDs with movies on them and shit. Stuff that I burnt onto them because both my computers have DVD burners in them. I don't know if they even make them anymore. I know modern computers don't have DVD drives anymore or CD drives, and they don't have them, Well, I put them in both of mine, because I wanted them, and at the time I was burning certain movies and TV series, so I would have my own collection. And I still got quite a few. I got rid of some of it, but I kept some of them that, would be really hard to find nowadays. Viewers would rather pay for a service and stream than to take the time to insert a DVD. So, yeah, unfortunately, that's true, Raymond. I was talking about that this morning. I said people are mad at Trump because he's not fixing shit right now. It's like, it took years to fuck it all up. You can't fix it overnight. But people today, like you said, they want instant gratification. It's a problem, and I wish people would get over themselves, but I don't see that happening. Jim, you better test those USB drives. Many from China will look good, but only... No, I actually did check them. They're actually a major brand. I don't buy the no-name ones. But yeah, you're right. And that was the kind. I remember one time I didn't fall for it because I read the reviews on it. They had it was a 1 terabyte USB drive. Now terabyte's pretty impressive, you know. And I'm thinking, man, that's a lot of fucking storage to put on a little drive. Well, it turns out a few people that bought one, it only went up to 10 gigabyte, a far cry from a terabyte, you know. So it's like, yeah, it wasn't cheap, but it wasn't expensive. It was like 40 some dollars. I mean, technically it would have been a good price, but no. Laserdisc, that's the one. Yeah, the Laserdisc. They thought that was going to be the next big thing, right before the DVDs came out, compact disc or whatever. The players were expensive. There was very few of the Laserdiscs out there that had movies on them already. Of course, they weren't burners, so you were kind of at the mercy of whatever they decided to put on one. So I didn't even waste my time with that. Now, when they went to I originally bought a Betamax, which I thought was a superior VCR, but they phased them out and went to the VHS, which weren't quite as good, and that's probably why they shit canned the Beta. So I had both for a while, and I was still recording stuff on the Betamax because the tapes were better quality than they were on the VHS. Go figure. I remember those. Yeah, like I said, they didn't have many of them. That was a problem. Very true, Gerald. And dealing with, yeah, that's another problem too. Corrupted drives. Oh, here's a link to test a USB drive. There you go. Well, I have something in my, I can't remember what it is now, but it actually does test because I'm using digital drives for my hard drives too. I don't use the mechanical drives anymore. I still have one in my other computer, but most of them are digital, you know, or what they call them, the SSDs. So, and they're good until they break, I guess. But so far, they've held up good for me. Hey, you're right, Jim. No DVDs and computers. I bought a new one. It's a 4x4x1 cube. That's the smallest one they make. Yeah, I've seen those. That Gia is a troll, Gerald. Who the hell's Gia? Oh, okay. Somebody. No, thank you, man, for taking care of that. Appreciate it. That's why you guys got the wrench. I wasn't even paying attention. So yeah, I mean, but the technology now they're talking about they want to do away with the USB drive or the SD cards and go to a crystal. They say they can make a crystal hold like 1,000 times more data in a tiny little crystal than they can put on a card. I don't know how it works. I guess they're considered optical drives or something like that, but they're not out there yet. But supposedly they're working on it, and that's going to be the next storage solution. We'll see. I prefer vinyl over CDs, downloads, and streaming any day better. That's true, Raymond. I mean, especially when they made such big strides in the record players. They got those linear. I've never had one, but I've seen them. The linear tracking turntables. Fuckers are nice, man, and the quality that comes out of them is amazing. And I think it's even better now because they digitized it. But but it's like everything else. They can't leave nothing alone. If it works, don't fix it if it ain't broken. But they're constantly fixing shit. So. That's that one. Old guys rule Russin, right? That's true, man. We do. Betamax was much better, but the major porn distributors use VHS. So since 65% of all sales were porn, VHS won out. Sony owned the rights to both porn. Did you? See, I wasn't aware of that. Now, weird though that you said that because there was a a video rental place in Naples Park where I live. It was a small place, like a mom and pop shop. And once they got to know you, and you were over 18, which I was, they give you backroom privileges. Well, they had a back room that was all porn. Now, at the time, all their porn was on Betamax. And then eventually they phased it out and went to VHS, which I didn't think much about it because I knew they were phasing out beta anyway. And so what I was doing was I was renting some of this shit. And really good stuff, man. It wasn't like standard porn, where they do this, this, and this, and that. Actually had storylines, really good stuff. I don't think it was triple X, it was just single X, but had a good story and a plot and all that. But I would record some of them. So I'd record off the Betamax onto the VHS because the porn was in beta. And then later on they switched it. So for a while, I was recording from VHS into the Betamax and getting a much better copy. So, but it was fucked up. And then, of course, when my beta deck finally took a shit, and it did after like 5 or 6 years, I said I'm not buying another one because they pretty much phased them out by then. So I went out and I just went out and bought another VHS. So now you get VHS players. I think my wife bought one last year or 2 years ago. I don't know, a few years back. They were like $40 for it at Walmart. And I've seen them as low as $19.99, for a basic home unit. I mean, they're, but nobody uses them anymore, I think I gave away all my fucking VHS tapes. I converted some of it onto DVD and then just canned the tapes, now. My wife had some of the Disney stuff, the ones that were worth money. That they had that one, what was it? The Little Mermaid, I think, had the castle on it. And a dick in the cat was one of the towers. She had that one. and well, it's technically worth money, but try and find somebody that's willing to pay for it. But they're supposed to be worth money. So I don't know. I remember how that hiss and skipping used to piss me off. Well, yeah, I don't know, but both my beta had a tracking control on it, and I think the first VHS I bought had a tracking control on it. You'd have to fuck with it to get it to play right. And then they eventually, I think they did away with it because they figured out a better way to do it. It's automatic. But the early models had a tracking control. And you had to screw it a little bit, otherwise you'd get the hiss or the skip or whatever. And just fucked up. The way Jim is over 18, and I thought he was prematurely gray. No, the way back when, man. I had jet black hair, but I had, like right here, about that much, I had a white streak in my hair right after I got married. And I've heard 2 stories on that. Either it was marital stress that caused that piece of hair to go gray, actually white, or if you were psychic, that was a sign of like a witch or whatever, or a wizard. That was a sign that you had some sort of abilities. Don't know which. Probably more like I was just stressed out. But yeah, that's what it was, man. My first well, shit, $1,100. Well, I paid. It was a top loader I bought from Sears. I just got a Sears credit card, and that was the first thing I bought with it. I think I paid almost $800 for it. It was their brand, whatever their brand was at the time, but I think it was actually made by Sony. But they put their name on other people's stuff. And my 2-year-old son at the time, I had it on top of the TV. Well, he figured out how to open the tray up top. Kid you not, he stuffed a peanut butter sandwich in it. Didn't do any real damage, but I had to take it apart and clean it up. I was so mad at him. It's like, no, that's not what goes in there. That's Jay Leno here. Yeah, there you go. I don't know, but like I said, it depends upon who you ask. Supposedly back from the Middle Ages, because I guess people had it back then. They said witches mostly had that little white area on their head. It could be in different areas. Same with the men. If you were into witchcraft or supernatural or whatever, if you were a wizard or a mage or whatever, you would have that. That was a sign that you had a gift. How true that is, but then they said a lot of times too that if you're stressed, that's a stress thing. I tell you, swear to God, I didn't have it till after I got married, first time, and so I don't know what the deal was, but I didn't think I was stressed, but who knows? I might have been. I mean, when you're young, marriage is kind of a complicated thing, Now you're not only responsible for yourself, you're responsible for your wife. Well, eventually you have kids, you're not responsible for them. In a lot of ways, it's pretty stressful, Not that, I mean, we weren't doing badly financially or anything, but, we weren't rich either. So, who knows? But, now my whole fucking head's white. Well, it's weird. It's probably all white now, but I came out of the shower the other day and half my head was black. And I'm not using dye or anything. And I notice it changes every now and then. I don't know if it's trying to get back to the black, because they say it's a vitamin deficiency that makes your hair turn gray or white. As you age, you lose that vitamin, and I don't know which one it is. But that's supposed to affect your hair color. The only thing that sucks, I miss my black beard, So I said I had jet black hair and a jet black beard, mustache, and I look more pronounced with it. And I was dyeing my beard for a while with that Just for Men shit. It works, but it got to be a pain in the ass. It's a performance anxiety. Yeah, it could have been. Fuck, man. I was getting laid every night, sometimes twice, man, with my first wife. Sex was never an issue. But it never really. I don't think I suffered performance anxiety. Maybe I did. It just seemed like natural to me. It's like, yeah, we're supposed to. I remember reading a report many, many years ago. I think it was in my late 20s at the time, and it said the average man has X amount of hours in his lifetime, from like the age of 16 to 70 or something like that. And it wasn't that much. And I'm thinking, fuck, I blew it off in the first year I was married. I'm ahead of the game, And I'm sure that I'm not alone. I mean, a lot of people I know have sex every day, I don't anymore, obviously, but the Jim could be a Wolfman Jack with glasses. Yeah, maybe. I don't know, Wolfman Jack. I don't know. I was listening to his song. I was watching his video the other day, Clap for the Wolfman. It's a good song, really, And I was listening to it, watching the video, and I'm thinking, he's been dead for a long time, too, but I remember him when I was younger, he did a couple of radio shows. I think he did a TV show, too. I think, I don't remember. Quantity or quality? Well, I tried to go for both. Yeah. Says UP4014 is old, yet not gray. I know, it's still black, ain't it? Yeah, they repainted. That's cheating, Before they restored it, I'm pretty sure it was in rough shape. Mostly brown colored, from the rust. But, I mean, hey, it is what it is, but. Yeah, no guy, I mean, my dad, well, I thought he was really fortunate because he died with his hair was almost completely black when he died at 91. Well, I don't know if you guys ever, old guys probably did, but they had this stuff called Grecian formula. It really wasn't a dye, but it actually kept your hair black. And he used that shit every day, like most of his life, And it actually worked. His hair was fucking black, Now he didn't have a beard or anything. He was always clean shaven, and I'm sure that it would have turned white, but yeah, it took many years before I finally figured out how he kept his hair dark like that, because The guy finally has it. Says, he's like in his 80s and he still had jet black hair. And I'm going, Dad, how come your hair hasn't turned gray yet? He says, well, I don't like to talk about it, but I use this stuff here. And he went in the bathroom and brought up this bottle of Grecian formula. I said, what the hell is that? He says, well, I've been using it since I was like in my 30s. Supposed to keep your hair dark, I said, well, it works. Maybe I ought to start using some of that shit. I don't know. Like I said, I was dyeing my hair and my beard for a while, but it just became a pain in the ass. I'm thinking, fuck, I'll just grow old gracefully and get it over with. So there was hardly any rust. The Southern California climate very much. Oh, really? I wasn't aware of that. I figured it was pretty rotten, but I thought I saw a couple of videos on some of the restoration, but like they were putting out all new stuff, so because I know they had to rebuild a whole bunch of stuff for it and actually forge new parts because the old ones were so badly worn that they couldn't reuse them. Well, that's true. And that's a blessing, knock wood. That's a family trait. I said I had a friend who lost his hair in his 20s, and his dad was bald, his grandfather was bald, his great grandfather was bald. They all lost their hair at a young age. So I mean, he was doomed from the beginning, And I mean, you deal with it if it happens. But the only problem I have with being bald is I think I look pretty stupid that way. I mean, some guys look good bald, like Tom Grassi. He has no hair, but he looks good, I mean, it fits him for some reason. He's got the right head shape and all. Or I did a crew cut a couple of times, buzz cut, and boy did I look stupid. And I'm thinking, at least that's this much hair. If I had none, I'd really look dumb. But I don't think I got the right head shape for it. So, But like I said, some guys that are bald, they seem to fit them. Gerald says it contained mercury salts. I didn't know that. Is that like poisonous? Or I mean, what? Yeah, he was exposed to lead because he was a house painter all his life, and back in the day we all used leaded gas, and they said that. Remember the old pump jockeys? They were all kind of dumb, hey, boy, let me fix it. And it was because they said because of the lead made you stupid. And my dad, God bless his soul, he wasn't stupid, but he wasn't intelligent either. I mean, he was good at what he did, but he couldn't do a lot of other things because he just didn't have the aptitude for it, And I always figured it was because of his exposure to lead. He worked with lead-based paints, half his life. And that shit had to fuck you up, apparently. So, does mercury do the same thing? I mean, he didn't seem to get any dumber after using mercury. It didn't shorten his life any. Although he did wind up with Alzheimer's. I mean, but I always figured that was from the fake sugar. And he was on cholesterol medicine because he was one of them guys where if he'd look at a steak, his cholesterol would go through the roof. Forget about eating it. All he had to do was look at it. And his cholesterol was always high. Mine is dead normal. I don't know why. And all I eat is meat. I'm not complaining. But, I'm fortunate in that respect. He wasn't. And I refused to take cholesterol medicine. Mine was a little elevated a few years back. They wanted to put me on that shit that fucks up your muscles. I ain't taking that shit. I had to lie to him. All right, I'll try it. I took it home. I threw it away. And next time I seen him, well, how'd that, he said, nah, I couldn't take it. My muscles are hurt. I stopped taking it. I never did, but they don't need to know that, because that was a permanent problem for your muscles. Some people, I figured, I'm not taking a chance, Russ says, I'm bald on the very top. Well, that's where it normally starts. You got that little bit on the sides there, It's like a reverse mohawk, Russ says mercury is highly toxic. Oh, did they take it off the market? Okay. Quicksilver, they call. Okay, I remember Quicksilver. Yeah, that would make sense. I haven't seen it, said I probably would have took it, not knowing any better because it worked. why it worked. I mean, if it's mercury, why would that turn your hair black? But who knows? But then remember, too, when we were kids, I remember in school we used to play with mercury. You know, we'd break open a thermometer, that little ball. I mean, you didn't eat it or anything, but you'd play with it. You know, roll it around on the table and shit, or in your hand. We didn't know any better. They'd kill anybody. I guess if you were dumb enough to eat it, it'd probably kill you, but, you know, we didn't generally eat shit. We didn't know what it was. We ate normal things like, you know, Play-Doh. Remember the paste? That shit that smelled great and actually didn't taste that bad. It was made out of some kind of food stuff anyway. It wouldn't hurt you. The Play-Doh smelled good, but it tasted like shit. Hey, come on, you guys admit it. Y'all tried it once. I did. You know, it smelled so good. It's like, I gotta try this, and then it didn't taste good. But the paste, I remember the white paste. What the hell is that made of? Made of wheat or something. It was something natural. It wouldn't hurt you, you know. And that was a common thing where people ate that shit, you know. Charles said, "No, you're lying, damn it! Don't lie to me. You know you did." Everybody did back in the day. If you didn't, you're a weirdo. Earl says, I think they used to put mercury. Yeah, they did in tooth fillings. And, of course, that caused problems, and they finally had to stop doing it. And they did silver, too, which I think the silver had mercury in it or something like that. Fish paste was the glue in school. Yeah, I think it was made from flour. It wasn't that, it wouldn't hurt you, and it didn't taste bad. It smelled good, too, you know, unlike the Play-Doh. Play-Doh smelled good, but it tastes like shit. But it wouldn't hurt you either, I don't think. Although I did see that because I bought some. I even got a little tub of it here somewhere. And I think it said do not ingest, could be harmful if swallowed. I don't know what the hell they did to it, but. Paste from horse duck. No. Not that paste. There was a shit that was white, and they had to remember the top with the fucking plastic applicator on it, and you'd open up the top and you'd scoop it out, and put a little flat applicator, and people ate that shit all the time. It wasn't horse dung. I think it was made from flour or something. They said it smelled good, tastes pretty good too. Yeah. Hey, come on, all you old guys, you know you taste it. Don't lie. We all did it. But, you know, I mean, some were, you know, I remember one kid school, I mean, he'd eat a whole tub. And that was a little weird, you know, I mean, I probably tasted it. Okay, done with that. You know, I didn't make a meal out of it. Dong or dung, Dave. It doesn't matter. Either one's not good for you. I guess one would be worse than the other. Strange. So what are we talking about? I got way off the side, right off the side of that one, didn't we? Oh yeah, we were talking about hair. If you find the right nutrients, I think you can make your hair black again naturally. Because on my understanding, it is a vitamin deficiency of some sort. So, what about Venus salts? I don't know what Venus salts are. Out in the weeds, LOL. Now we had rock salt, we had Epsom salt. They were the only salts I was really aware of. Now they got sea salt, pink salt, and I think there's another salt. Well, they've got them other salts that'll fuck y'all up. You're not supposed to eat bath salts. Yeah, apparently people were eating that shit that was making them zombies or something. That's what I love about this show all over the place. Yeah, it's you know, it's a little weird. Oops. It's a little weird, but that does happen. You know, we do talk about everything. Yeah, sea salt. That's supposed to be good for you. I've never tried it, but I'm thinking about buying some next time. I don't really use salt. because I'm not supposed to. Supposed to be on a salt-free diet, but half the shit you eat's got salt in it anyway. But because of my congestive heart failure, salt is a big no-no because it helps retain water or fluids. So I mean, sugar, I eat real sugar. I won't eat that fake shit, because I make a cup of hot tea every night. I like the cinnamon lemon tea, the designer tea. That's great. It's actually lowered my blood sugar too. It's helped me cut back on my insulin. But I still got to have some sugar in there, so 2 teaspoons of sugar per cup, and they say you're not supposed to eat sugar, but fuck it. I'd rather have real sugar than any of that fake shit. My dad used to eat that fucking what was that sugar in the pink pack? It was saccharin is what it was. It was bad for you. Sweet and low. That sweet and low, that shit's not good for you. And they say that could have gave him the Alzheimer's too. And a lot of that generation, that's what they ate. So who knows? Dave says I put raw honey in my coffee. That's supposed to be good for you too. See, honey, I'm not supposed to take honey because it's sweet. And it's bad for diabetics, supposedly. Because I've heard things where you use cinnamon and honey and make a tea out of that. It's supposed to be real good for you too. I haven't tried it, but plus honey actually is supposed to build your immune system too. If you get the good stuff. Salt is N-scale salt water. There you go. Now, we had a water purification system at the old house, and my dad was told we went halves on it because they fucked around with the water, and it had a really high chlorine content in it. They said if you were on dialysis or if you had tropical fish, it killed my tropical fish. So I said, well, if it kills the fish, people on dialysis, it'll probably kill healthy people too. So we went and bought a whole house filtration system, and it had a brine tank, and we used to buy the big salt licks, for cows. It'd hold 3 of them. You throw them in there, and it would backwash the system, clean it out, and then flush it. It finally took a shit, but we paid $1,200 for that system, which back in the day, that was in like the mid '80s, I think. That was a lot of money. We had it for about 5 or so years, but then they had filters under each sink, carbon filters, and you had to replace them once a year. I took the old one off and opened it up. Man, the sludge that was in that, and I'm thinking, we'd be drinking that shit if it wasn't filtered. So even now, I've got a Berkey filter in the house that I like to drink my water out of. My fridge has a filter in it, but it doesn't remove fluoride, where the Berkey does. And I don't like fluoride either. I heard RFK is supposed to try and get it banned throughout the nation on a federal level. We'll see. And they need it because it's not good for you, And I think it really rots your teeth more than helps it. Because they don't use natural fluoride. Natural fluoride is good for your bones and your teeth, but it's very expensive. The fluoride they use is a byproduct of oil. Yeah, why would you want to ingest that, So, they say it's supposed to make you dumb too and compliant. That's why I was never a big water drinker, because I didn't want to deal with it. But now I kind of have to drink the water because of my health. So I'm going to filter the shit out of it, So this is one of the overall educational shows out there. I guess it is to a point, though, isn't it? In a weird sort of way. So sea salt has some rare minerals in it your body needs. That's why I said I should probably start using that. I'm sure it'd be a lot safer than table salt, so I just use it on a very limited basis because as you age, you don't have the stuff you really need, mineral and vitamin wise. Russ says almost everything has sugar in it, a glaring reality when you are diabetic like my. Oh, you're diabetic too? All right, so you know what I'm going through then. Ray says honey is natural. I used to have hives and sold pure raw honey straight from the hive. Yeah, well, That's true, and it's very beneficial. They say it'll actually cure things and help your immune system too. Um, I've had raw honey before I was diabetic, but I haven't had it since. Like I said, they gave me a list of all the shit I shouldn't eat, and I modified that list a little bit because I'm a very picky eater. I don't eat a lot of stuff. I'm a kind of a meat and potatoes guy. Oh, don't eat red meat. Don't eat this. No, fuck you. You know. And I found out that some of the shit they wanted me to eat actually raised my blood sugar, and the stuff I'm not supposed to eat actually doesn't do that much to it. I can eat a steak, and it's protein mostly anyway, and it doesn't really raise my sugar. The same thing with potatoes. I can eat a potato almost. I don't fry potatoes, but I air fry them, but I don't fry them like in oil. Mashed potato, French fries, tater tots, scalloped potatoes, boiled potatoes. I can eat all that stuff and it doesn't blow up my sugar. You know. Same with carrots. They said don't eat carrots either. Well, I love carrots, so they don't blow up my sugar either. You know. They said, oh, well, you can eat this, but I try that, and it's like, well, my sugar went through the roof. No, that's not going to work. I ain't eating that no more. So I don't, and I think everybody's different. You find out what works for you and what doesn't, and that's what you do. You know, these fucking lists of do's and don'ts, they don't apply to everybody. Dave says, yeah, it's a shame, Russ. Even stuff that should not pisses me off. Potato salads, macaroni salads, everything. Well, everything has sugar in it. Well, because it probably wouldn't be palatable without it. Hey, maybe it would. I don't know. But I think, they have, they say sugar is actually, it does something to your body. It's not good in excessive amounts. And the thing is, we take a shitload of sugar in on a daily basis that we probably shouldn't. Short amounts of it, probably, anything in excess is going to hurt you. If you take things in a normal, whatever the word is for it, rationed way, you should be fine. The same thing. I was a soda-aholic, a Coke-aholic. I mean, you'd always see me with a Coke or a Pepsi all day, every day. And it didn't give me a stroke, but it could have caused a stroke because it made my blood thick because I was getting excessive fibrin levels. It was from the soda, And I didn't know that at the time. And like I said, man, I'd go through, I'd buy cases of soda every month. And I'd go through it, And I started buying the Mexican soda that had cane sugar in it, figuring it'd be better for me. I think by that time I was already too late. The damage was done. Or it didn't make a difference. I'm not sure which. So, that's probably what caused my stroke. I mean, I know I had excessive fibrin levels. Because I did finally get tested for it, and it was like, they shouldn't be this high, And fibrin is what makes your blood clot. So if I'd have known that and say took aspirin or some sort of blood thinner, I could have avoided the stroke. But I didn't know. But once again, I wasn't drinking soda on a ration level, a little bit here and there. I mean, I was obsessed with it, drinking it constantly, man, it wasn't good for you. They say, even water, you can drown in water. If you drink too much water, you'll drown. So everything in moderation is fine. But if you take it in excess, it's probably going to hurt or kill you. I believe that. But unfortunately, like you said, they're throwing this shit in everything and outrageous levels of it. It can't be good for you, and I think that's the plan. Just kill you off a little early, I mean, you can go to certain, I think it's Europe, or Italy maybe, they have almost hardly any heart attacks or strokes over there. In Japan, they don't have stroke at all. They just never had a stroke because they use an additive in all their foods. That's a natural blood thinner. I think it's called, fuck. It's a Japanese word, and I can't remember what it is now, but it'll come to me eventually. But they put it in all their food, and it's known to prevent blood clots. So, why aren't we doing that? Because they want us fucking dead, that's why. So yes, Dave, I try to eat meat, fish, eggs, cheese, and other lower carb. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have to really. But I'm leery of the fish too because the only fish I'd really eat is either in local waters, like inland, like lakes and stuff that aren't polluted, hopefully. But anything along the Gulf or the Atlantic, don't touch that shit, man. After they put that Corexic in the ocean for the oil leak, that destroyed the entire area of marine life. You're eating poison. So I'm not eating that shit, It's not happening. Says you make an air fryer to make fried air. I love that air fryer, man. My daughter gave it to my wife as a present, and I'd never seen one before. I didn't know because I had to call her. I said, "How to use this thing?" And she says, "Well, it's kind of like an oven, the same settings. You got a timer and you got a temperature setting, and you can air fry almost anything. I made a steak in one, and it came out beautifully, man. But I usually air fry my French fries, tater tots. There are all kinds of shit you can put in. I even put pizza rolls in there and cook them up real nice. So I mean, it just doesn't use any oil. It's strictly hot air. And they say it's the safest way to fry shit. So that's what I've been doing. Sugar makes you crave more, thus yeah, exactly. There you go. I know it did something to you. Processed honey from the store has none of the good left in it other than flavor in raw form. Yeah, well, I know that. You got to get it right out of the hive, man. Don't fuck with it. It's like everything else. They got to, pervert it somehow or another before they sell it to you. Because if it's good for you, they won't let you have it. So I buy mine raw from local beekeepers. There you go. Yeah, they sell it here. Because I know there's hives out here on 27 a few miles down the road. I've seen them. So obviously somebody's, harvesting the honey from it. So just run an old O scale, you can smell the ozone. Actually, I've got an air purifier in there, an old one. I paid $450 for it, just a little box. He uses these glass plates with some sort of a thing in there. And that's what they do. They use ozone to clean up the air. You can smell the ozone. But then again, my fucking I had a big commercial printer. It would create ozone too. So, but they said that's not good for you. So, how could one ozone be good and the other one not? Somebody's lying. Not sure who though. All right, Gerald, have a good one, man. Thanks for popping in, and we'll see you next time. Yeah, I think I'm gonna shut down here in about 8 minutes, 9:30. Otherwise, I'll be here all fucking night. Raymond says, but I don't have an old scale. I got a newer old O scale that I bought for my wife, Lionel. I didn't smell any ozone out of that though. I have cans of dehydrated water. Wouldn't that be air? Like empty cans? Remember that sunshine? I don't know. Well, anybody in Florida, or anybody's been to Florida back in the 70s, that was a tourist attraction. Florida sunshine in a sealed can. It was an empty can, but it was sealed. I think my dad bought a couple and brought back up. The stupid shit we used to fall for. So my daughter has beehives. She gave me honey and beeswax and jellies made with honey. There you go. I tell you, it's good stuff and it's good for you, man. Anyway, guys, like I said, we're gonna wrap it up here. Might as well just wrap it up now. I'll run the outro. Russ says I like honey mustard. I don't do mustard, but like I said, I'm a real picky eater. I don't eat a whole lot of anything. And people go, what kind of vegetable? I say, well, I'm really a non-vegetarian. The only vegetable I really eat is carrots. And I think because as kids we were forced to eat everything. My mother would make Brussels sprouts, cabbage, uh, peas. I cannot stomach peas. They go down, they come right back up, man. It's something about the texture. But all right, Dave, have a good night, man. The race is speaking of low scale. I'm not happy about Lionel adding Bluetooth and digital with all their locomotives. It would be nice to have a basic AC analog locomotive to choose from. They don't make them anymore. I mean, did they phase them out? That was stupid. Thanks, Derek. All right, guys. Anyway, I'm gonna run the outro. So thanks for showing up, and we'll see you next week. In the meantime, have a good and safe weekend, and remember to play with your trains, and remember to flip off that fucking signal, man.